One, two. There we go. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law, where we learn through the misfortunes of others. As always, I'm your host, Uncivil Law, a licensed attorney in Texas, Virginia, and before the United States Supreme Court. And we are here with our continuing coverage of the case of Scot Peterson. Scot Peterson was a school resource officer. He is a licensed, badged sheriff officer. His duty station just happens to be the school, as opposed to being in a police car on a patrol, as opposed to walking a beat, as opposed to whatever. His duty station is the school and had been the school for 9 years. On February the 14th of 2018, there was a school shooting. A student, or a former student rather, came in and killed 14 students, 3 teachers, and injured 17 more. The former student himself has already been convicted and sentenced to life in prison. We are charging the police officer with, in so many words, cowardice. We are, so far in this trial, we have had a lot of emotionally heavy testimony, and we've had testimony that has, at parts and pieces, tried to bring some information as to some of the things that Scot Peterson did. But that information has been inconclusive at best. The information that's been available has been from other officers who, at least at the times that they observed him, were essentially doing the same thing that he was doing. We've heard allusions to the concept that he was hunkered behind a car or something for 40 minutes, but we have yet to see the tape. So that's all interesting. Also, on the law, not clear how he can be legally responsible. He's being charged as a caretaker, and it's not clear that he qualifies as a caretaker as a matter of law. So even if he's convicted, I would imagine that his appeal options would be ripe, because I'm not sure that he can be convicted under the relevant statutes. But we get ahead of ourselves, because at the moment, we don't really have any idea that he breached his duty. We've just heard allusions to it, not really any evidence as to it. So we will press on and see how it goes from there. And that sort of wraps it up. The state is supposed to hypothetically wrap up its case today or tomorrow. So, well, not tomorrow, because tomorrow the court is not in session on Wednesday. So either today or Thursday. So I assume at some point we're going to see this tape that we keep hearing about, or other evidence that he cowered behind a car for 40 minutes, because we don't really know so far. The campus itself is huge. It's 45 acres, 3,000 students, multiple buildings, each building of which is the size of a football field, multiple football field size buildings. The campus itself is multiple football field sizes, huge, big in both directions. And it appears, based on the information, that he was the only police officer there during the shooting while it was actually occurring. If any officers were there at any point other than that, it would have only been at the extreme tail end. So they were coming in as the shots were just ending. Basically, that seems to be, he was alone. So we don't know what he did in terms of his behavior during the scene. So why no court on Wednesday? I think the judge has some sort of scheduling thing where he does something else on Wednesdays. This is similar to the Johnny Depp trial, where Judge Ascarati had the same thing. I think hers was on Fridays. Friday, she didn't have court. She reserved it for some of the reason. I think he has some sort of drug court or something he sits on Wednesdays. So he does something else on Wednesdays. So whatever. That's sort of my rough understanding of what's going on. I think Judge Ascarati reserved Friday for motion practice. So she did all her motion practices on Fridays. And I think this judge does some sort of drug court thing on Wednesdays. But that's what I limitedly understand. It is not that he does drugs instead of court. No, that is not it. No. presumably. Thank you for the 89 of us, for 89 of you who are currently here. Just good morning to every one of you. By the way, just a kind reminder to retweet the pinned link. It is different every session. And we need to get those numbers up so people can learn the magic that is uncivil law. Good morning, Tony, Amanda, Sandra's, of course, here. Tony can't speak to the court audio. We will find out. Marie, Tammy, Caroline, Gwendolyn, Philip, NJS, Erica, Mountain Prince, Philip. Good stuff. Marcel, Claudia, Jennifer, Nowicki, Pretty Mama Bear. Good morning. If there's a tape, they better bring in this tape real soon. I'll tell you what, man. We better see the tape too. I'll tell you what, because it is very difficult for me to adjudicate this right now. I don't think the state has made its case yet. So I really hope there's a tape. They keep saying, well, he was behind a car for 40 minutes. Like, how do you know that? If you could bring some testimony, and that'd be great anytime, you know? Did I get a haircut? No, not yet. I just combed my hair and put some what would you say? I put some hair gel in my hair to comb it and make it look nice. They said that the state is supposed to either end today or tomorrow, whatever tomorrow is, which I think in this case is Thursday. So the state is supposed to be done in the next 2 days. We'll see. I also put on a little bit of that face powder that people had recommended, the Wet and Wild um, photo, whatever that is, translucent. So it doesn't have any color in it, but put a little bit on that on to make my face a little bit less glary and a little bit more uniform. And I think it looks nice. So I think it was a nice recommended product. So, you know, works out pretty well, I think. Yeah. So yeah, in Rob's chat, I asked, "Hey, women of the chat, what should I get?" And there was consensus around the Wet and Wild photo translucent thing, and also there was consensus around Good Minerals, which apparently makes one that you can get at Ulta. But I got what was available at my local grocery store, the Wet and Wild one, and seems to be working out pretty well. So we'll see. I am Wet and Wild, yes. No, not turtle wax. I use the, what is it? It is a very light hold. It's a nice um hair gel. It's very liquidy. It's less jelly than most gels. It's oh, who makes it? Um I can't remember right now, but it's one of the hair salon ones. I can't remember who makes it right now. But they make a hair gel that's a very light hold gel because that's what I like. I like a very light hold. I just want to help stylize my hair. I don't want that really thick gel. So if you get gel, like for most like convenience stores or grocery stores, I find them to be way too thick. Way too jelly in my experience. They also create a hold that's way too strong. I'm not looking for that. So I have this one that is very liquidy. It's very liquidy gel. It's a light hold gel. It's just meant to, go in the hair and just help stylize it. And that's all I really want. So that's what I use. I'm trying to remember the company that makes it. Um, it'll come to me. Mm. Aveda makes it. Let's see if I can find what it's called. I'll show you if I can find the exact product. Let's see. Let's see. Fresh shampoo, mask treatments, color serum, men's hair care. No. Let's see. Oh, here it is. I think this is the one. Confixer. That looks right. Yeah. Yeah. Medium hold. Yeah. So I don't need every ad on the face of the earth. I'm already trying to stop. I'm already trying to share your stuff with people. I don't need you to pop up every ad possible. Damn. Okay, yeah. So the hair gel I use is this here. This Aveda Confixer liquid gel. It says medium hold, but really it's a very light hold. It's a very liquidy hair gel. And it's basically what I'm looking for, just something very minimal. So that's my hair gel of choice right there. In case you care about such things. And then yeah. And then the powder people recommended, this is what have on my face now. This photo focus loose setting powder. Yeah. So that's what they recommended. Available in translucent. So I got it in translucent. And that seems to work perfectly well. So that's what the product I'm using right now. Exciting and fun. Ah, yeah. The Avedo product was really nice because I had trouble finding a gel I really liked. You know, when you go to a grocery store or you go to a drugstore and you see hair gel, it's always maximum hold, super maximum hold, 15 out of 10. I'm like, just want, I just want something actually light. Could you actually give me a light hold? And the Aveda does exactly what I want to do. So that's what I'm using for my product right now in my life. So just trying to take care of myself a little bit. The setting spray, I don't think I need that. I think the powder is fine by itself. Just took a little bit of it, put it into the cap, took a brush and brushed it on. Seemed to work fine. And I went to the gym yesterday. That was nice. Did 15 minutes on the elliptical. That was nice. Did some squats. I think I got up to 240 on squat. I have to double check the numbers, but did good on squats yesterday. I did some lat pull down. That was nice. Good times. We're just waiting for the trial to start, and then we'll go from there. It should start pretty soon, I would think. I'm just waiting for them to start. Yeah, I like the translucent. I like the translucent. Takes some of the shine away, makes my skin tone a little bit more even. Looks good. Yeah, we're just trying to even out the skin tone and remove some of the glare because my skin can get a little oily sometimes. So we're just trying to do some basic stuff, no muss, no fuss, just make it a little bit nicer for the presentation. It works. Thank you for saying I'm looking good. I'm trying to make things look a little bit better. Mm. At the gym now, getting it done, kick ass. I'm gonna try to get to the gym again today as well. Probably as soon as the trial is over, probably go to the gym immediately so that I don't get too. But I'm gonna try to go to the gym as well today and get some more work done. Court is in session on other channels. Okay. Am I gonna do a cooking show? I do cooking shows as needed. I'm making just more chicken wings right now, to be honest. I'm just looking for a feed right now. Okay. Let's see about this one. No, there's not really anything happening in the courtroom right now. We're just coming into the courtroom on the other channel. Guys, let's testify. Excuse me 1 second. I need to switch feeds.
My name is Terrell Leon Tops, MD. My first name is spelled T as in Tango, Errill. Middle name is spelled Leon. Last name is spelled T as in Tango, O as in Oscar, P as in Paul, S as in Sam, MD.
Mr. Klinger, you may inquire.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Dr. Thompson.
Good morning, sir.
Dr. Thompson, what do you do for a living?
I'm a medical examiner, also known as a forensic pathologist.
And where are you? Who do you work for as a medical examiner?
Currently, I'm with the Palm Beach County Medical Examiner's Office.
Was there a time when you worked at the Broward County Medical Examiner's Office?
Yes, from the years 2016 to 2019.
Could you please tell the jury a little bit about your education?
Went to undergrad at Johnson C. Smith University in Charlotte, North Carolina. Afterwards, I went to medical school at the University of Rochester in upstate New York. And after that, I did my residency at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas. Finished up at Georgetown University Hospital in Washington, D.C. Then did a fellowship at Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where I learned to be a forensic pathologist. After that, I joined the military with the Air Force. 4 years, I was a medical examiner performing autopsies on service members who died in the Iraqi and Afghanistan wars and the global war on terrorism. After finishing that tour for 4 years, I became a professor teaching medical students, grad students, nursing students, public health students, pathology. After that, I then worked a year in Washington, D.C. as a medical examiner. And then I came down to Broward 2016 to 2019. And after that, I transferred up north, one county up at Palm Beach County Medical Examiner back in September 2019, and I've been there ever since.
And, Doctor, do you have any board certifications?
Yes, I'm board certified in anatomic pathology, which is learning how to diagnose natural disease that can be in a person's medical record, treated by other physicians and surgeons. And then I did a year learning forensic pathology, which is the non-natural manners of death, such as homicides, suicides, accidents. And most of the time, here and there, I diagnosed those, but also natural disease where a person doesn't have a doctor or died in the state of Florida but doesn't have a physician treating them here in the state.
And can you please give us an estimate of how many autopsies you've done over the course of the years?
I don't count them, but it's over 1,000.
All right, and do you have a approximate number? How many of those were related to gunshot wounds?
A lot, hundreds, several hundreds to 300 cases.
So I'm going to call your attention to February 14th of 2018. Were you called out to Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School that day, or were you asked to do any work concerning the shootings that happened at the school that day?
I was notified by the deputy medical examiner, Steve Robinson, who called me to let me know that there was a situation that happened that's currently being dealt with at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, and that there were casualties, and to be ready for the next day to perform autopsies on the casualties.
So did your involvement with actually starting to do autopsies, was that the next day on February 15th?
That was on February 15th when I performed several autopsies on several members that passed away at that school. And
Doctor, do you recall performing an autopsy on Joaquin Oliver?
Yes, I did.
Just go ahead, all on for the.
Mr. Claire, can the monitors be on, please?
Yes, it'll just be this one, sir.
Yes, there's a lot of static today in the audio. Just another day in paradise of courtroom audio,
yes,
baby.
I do. It's Joaquin Oliver.
Thank you, Jim. When you started procedure to do the autopsy, did you assign a case number to the autopsy of Joaquin?
The case number was randomly assigned based on the number of individuals that were being processed one at a time. The case number that was affixed to Mr. Joaquin Oliver was case number 18-0536. That number will always be affixed like a Social Security number on Joaquin Oliver's case. No one else before or after him will have that same number. So for as long as the records exist, that will be the case number with the decedent.
Were you able to determine before or during your autopsy what his age, height, or weight was?
His weight was 134 pounds, and his height was 5 feet 11 inches, and his age, I believe, I don't recall, I think it was 17.
Would it be in your report?
It will be in the report, yes.
If I were to show you a page of that report, would it refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Or do you have it?
Judge Mansfield, you may.
Do you recognize the report? And just look at the first page and let me know if it refreshes your memory.
Refreshing his recollection as to the victim's
17
age at the
years of
time. I
age.
mean, it seems like a fine point, but okay.
And now, Doctor, if you could please walk the jury through the autopsy.
Judge, I'm going to object at this point. Relevancy, appeal to sympathy.
Your responses to the relevancy.
Which is we have to, as part of the, you want to do a sidebar or I'll make speaking objection, that's part of the information.
This is part of the proof that's the count. Three.
Judge, we're stipulating to the death. Any serious bodily injury. It's not a dispute.
Good. Hold on. I'm going to go sidebar after that.
All right, so this is happening now. We're having a fight over medical evidence and whatnot. Yeah, he dead. Yeah, we know he dead. We got that part, right? So yeah, like tell us something we don't know, right? Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Just a kind reminder to everyone just joining us, 165 of you who are here. For those of you who have the Twitters, if you could be so kind as to please retweet the pinned comment. 9 of you have so far hit that retweet button. And at least in my humble judgment, I believe it is the best way to get promotion and discovery of the channel. I don't know of a better one. I've chosen Twitter. So I think the Twitters are the best way to help. For everyone who retweets, I think it exposes the channel, means other people learn about it, people who might have forgotten about it. It reminds them, increases exposure. It's all good. So I really appreciate everyone who hits the retweet. And, you know, for those of you who have Twitter, it should take all of about 10 seconds to do that top. So if you could hit that retweet, it would make a huge difference to me. For those of you who don't have the Twitters, a like on the video wouldn't hurt either. And of course, you can share it on your other social media of choice, but I've chosen the Twitters as the best way to do this. And so your support there is particularly appreciated. Thank you for the 12 of you who have now hit the retweet button. Thank you. We need to up our viewership numbers. You know, we need to figure out ways to up our viewership numbers, and this is what I've chosen.
Dr. I'd asked you to start to explain the autopsy. If you could just go through
14 of you, thank you so very, very much.
I would appreciate that for the jury, please.
Yes, there were 4 gunshot wounds on Mr. Joaquin Oliver's body, and one was involving that of his left leg, where it entered on the left medial side of the leg, which is the side of the big toe on the left foot. It then entered and injured primarily the soft tissue. Didn't fracture
Thank you,
bones.
Preston, for hitting that beautiful, beautiful
Out
join
of
button. It's
the,
appreciated. Thank you.
Back portion of the left leg. So it went from left to right, front to back, and downward. The other...
Can I ask you a question just not related to that particular injury? Would that prevent someone from being able to walk, or would it impede their ability to walk?
The injury went in between the 2 bones of the leg, left leg, which is called the tibia and fibula. The tibia is the thicker bone that maintains one's height. And there is a nerve called the peroneal, I'm just mispronouncing, I'm sorry. It's spelled P-E-R-O-N-E-A-L, nerve. And what
Apparently, Hunter
happens is
Biden
that,
has reached a
when
no
that nerve
jail
is
plea
injured,
deal in his
causes
tax
the
cases.
victim to be unable to walk.
So Hunter
They're
Biden might
unable
have some
to
sort of criminal
move their foot
record.
to walk in a gait.
Exciting.
According to witnesses, or a witness, that after he was shot in the leg, he fell and couldn't get up. So that is one gunshot wound. Another gunshot wound involved that of the left arm. It injured the left lateral side, which is the side of towards the elbow, on the left side of the left arm, and then it exited out of the front portion of the left arm. So it went from back to front, left to right, and upward, and it only injured the muscle of like the bicep. Another gunshot wound involved that of the right hand, where the bullet entered into the middle portion of the right palm and exited in between the web of the, I'm raising my hand, where entered in the middle of the palm, exited right behind the back of the hand, and it's in between the web between the thumb and the index finger. It injured the bone called the second metacarpal bone, and it caused it to fracture. And then the last gunshot wound involved that of the head, where the bullet entered into the left temple and injured the skull and damaged the brain, exited out of the skull and exited out of the right side of the neck, right behind the right ear. There were also, surrounding that of the gunshot wound involving the left temple, there were irregular lacerations and abrasions. That is likely from the injury of his right hand, where the bone of his metacarpal bone fractured and also traveled with the bullet, and it caused defects surrounding the gunshot wound of the head. So it appears, based on that the right hand was trying to block the bullet from injuring him, but unfortunately it was not enough to stop the bullet. So there were 4 gunshot wounds that caused and contributed to Mr. Joaquin Oliver's death.
And the manner and cause of death?
The manner of death is homicide.
And the manner of the cause is?
And the cause is multiple gunshot wounds.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I appreciate you coming down to Broward, and appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, cross-examination.
No questions, Your Honor.
State, is the witness excused?
Yes, sir.
Sir, you may step down.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. While he's doing that, State, you may call your next witness.
Your Honor, this time the state would call Mr. Kelvin Greeley.
I don't know what the point of that testimony was on any level. Technically. Some people died. Who were shot. This is like our 3rd or 4th medical examiner to testify that people died by being shot. I got it.
If either side wants to use the illustrators to lack a better term, I tested it this morning, so it's good to do that.
It is going on me great.
185 of you currently here. Thank you very much for being here, by the way. 19 of you have now hit that pinned retweet. It is appreciated for everyone who does so.
Sir, if I could have you come all the way up here to the witness stand, please. Once you reach it, before you have a seat, you can just stop and look at me, please. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth. Yes, sir. Please be seated. So once you're seated, if I can get you to scoot that chair all the way up as far as it will go. Can you please state your full name and spell your full name?
Kelvin Greenleaf, KelvinGreenleaf.
Mr. Kilroy, your main question.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Greenleaf, how old are you?
61.
61.
Yes.
And what do you currently do for a living?
I'm a fitness instructor, City of Coconut Creek.
Previous to that, where did you work?
Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School,
How long did you work at Marjory Stoneman Douglas?
7 years.
And what was your job at MSD?
Security specialist.
What does a security specialist do?
Well, I was in charge of security of the school. My job would include moving students from classrooms, doing searches, doing investigation and reporting that to the principal.
What is the difference between a security monitor and your job, which was a security specialist?
The monitor's job mainly is just to observe and report. Okay, they walk around the campus, they see anything suspicious, they're to report it to myself or an administrator.
Okay. And, or administrator, or would they at times report it to Mr.
Does the
Peterson?
defense call the
Yes.
shooter as a witness? I suppose they
Do you know
could.
Scot Peterson?
Yes, sir.
I
Do you see
mean,
him
we
in
know
the
where he is. We
Yes,
can
sir.
find
Can
him.
you please identify him?
I'm not sure why you would.
Where he's sitting?
Okay.
It's an interesting idea. Would you call the shooter as a witness as the defendant?
Sorry, the record reflect positive identification.
The record
Interesting
does so
idea.
reflect. You may proceed.
Now, what was your day-to-day job?
Gardening dogs, thank you for hitting that beautiful
Day-to-day,
join button.
normally I had to be at work at 7 o'clock. I got in usually 20 to 30 minutes before, walked around campus, made sure I was positioned before the students walked on campus at 7:40. Well, starting around about 7:15, they were allowed to start walking on campus. I was just there to be visible, greeting the kids.
What did you wear? Did you have a uniform?
Shirt, we had a school board shirt, and just slacks.
Okay. And going back to your day, so 7:15, students arrive around 7:40.
Yeah, just pretty much walking around, checking out the campus, to make sure that everything was like pretty much in order.
Okay. So, what do you mean by checking out the campus? Does that mean to make sure, like,
Just walking around, checking to make sure there was nothing left behind, anything on the courtyard. You know, we had a pretty big sized courtyard where most students have to come through to come to school. So I just made sure everything was nice and clear there.
now, previous to working at MSD as a security specialist, where did you work?
At Monarch High School.
I'm sorry, where?
Monarch High School.
What did you do at
I was a
Monarch?
monitor at Monarch High School.
So, what is a monitor to a specialist kind of like a promotion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how long were you a monitor at Monarch?
3 to 4 years, something.
In total, how long did you work for the Broward County School Board in the security, in the realm of security?
It's about 12 years, maybe.
Now, what is your background in regards to security?
Just former military,
Okay. And in the military, what branch were you in?
the Army,
How long were you in the Army for?
5.5 years.
Okay. And what was your specialty? What was your MOS?
64 Charlie, motor vehicle operator.
As part of being in the military, did you go through basic training?
Yes, sir.
Were you qualified or certified on firearms?
Yes, sir.
What kind of firearms?
M16,
What year were you in the military? What years?
82 to 87.
And you said you were, M16 is what you...
Yes, sir.
Is that a loud rifle?
Yes.
So is it safe to say that on February 14th of 2018, you were familiar with the sound of rifle fire or gunshots?
Yes, sir. It was loud, yes, sir.
Now, going back to Mr. Peterson, in January of 2018, was there a training done on campus at Marjory Stoneman Douglas?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Okay. And do you recall what that training was in regards to?
It was about, we was getting ready to do a drill, the fire drill, pretty much about the same thing that occurred on that day in February.
So you mean like code red drills, things
Yes,
of that
drills
nature?
and stuff, yes, sir.
Okay. And do you recall who was the teacher of that class?
Wow. want to say Detective Butler, I think it was.
Is that Al
Detective
Butler from the school
Al
board?
Butler, yes.
Was Mr. Peterson a part of that class?
Yes, sir.
Now, you also spoke earlier about your responsibilities as a security specialist involving administrative searches. What did you mean by that?
I was authorized to pat kids down to make sure that they didn't have anything illegal on them. So I was able to do that.
Okay. And when you conducted these administrative searches, was Mr. Peterson with you? Some of the time?
On occasion, yes, sir. Mhm.
Did you see Mr. Peterson conduct administrative searches?
Yes, sir.
How often?
Not too often. He was with me, yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
When I do a search, he would come in, but he rarely perform any, but, he did occasionally.
Okay. Now, let's go back to February 14th of 2018. Approximately 2:15 in the afternoon. Where were you at that time?
I was in my office, security office,
And what building was your office in?
building 1.
Now, what is the first thing that drew your attention that something was wrong?
Well, campus monitor in Medina put a call over the radio to Monitor Taylor in the 1200 building, stating that a suspicious person was walking towards his building.
Working towards the 1200. I'm going to show you what's already in evidence as states 1. Mr. Greenlee, if you're actually able to use the pencil function, so you can actually circle or note what we're talking about. Just give it one moment. Do you see where building 1 is on this map?
Hold on one second.
You can
Yes.
familiarize yourself with it.
I see it.
Using the pencil function, can you just mark where building 1 is?
Never used one of these, though. Building 1.
Okay. And can you mark with a circle where the 1200 building is? Now, when you heard that call from Campus Monitor Medina, where were you?
I was in building 1, right here.
Did you have your own office in building 1?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were you in your own office when you heard that?
Yes, sir.
Did you overhear it over a school radio?
Yes.
Were you issued a school radio?
Yes, I was.
Is that the type that you have to charge?
Yes.
Okay. When did you charge it?
I charge it overnight. I leave it in my charge overnight.
After that call went out, suspicious person to the 1200, what did you do next?
I continue to file my paperwork because there was a conversation between Medina and Taylor.
And Taylor, is that David Taylor?
Yes, sir.
Is that another security monitor?
Yes.
As a security specialist, are you armed? Do you have a weapon?
No, sir.
Do any of the security monitors have a weapon on them?
No, sir.
Who's the only person on campus with a weapon?
The resource officer,
And who was the school resource officer that day?
Deputy Peterson.
Now, going back to the 14th, you stated you went back to your paperwork. What happened next?
I listened to those two guys carry on the conversation over the radio, and about, I want to say, anywhere between 30 seconds to like a minute or so, maybe, guessing on the time, I hear suspicious sounds coming from the 1200 building.
That's the call.
That's the
Suspicious
call.
sounds.
Yeah, from Medina.
With that information, what did that cause you to do?
Well, when he said suspicious sound, I stood up and I walked out from my office and went towards the Deputy Peterson's office and said, "Did you hear the call, 1200 building?" And I proceeded to go out.
Let me slow you down there. One step at a time. Did Mr. Peterson have his own office?
Yes, he was across the hall.
So it was located next to yours?
Mhm.
Okay, with that information, after hearing over the dispatch, the school radio, did you go to Mr. Peterson's office? Once you were inside Mr. Peterson's office, what happened?
I asked him, did he hear the call on the radio in the 1200 building?
And what was Mr. Peterson's response to that?
Let's check it out.
So did you and Mr. Peterson exit building 1?
Yes, sir.
And where were you heading towards?
I walked outside of building 1 and noticed a golf cart sitting to my left. So I was going to go to the office to get the key for that golf cart to go to the 1200 building. But the person with the key was not in his office. So we started walking, turned to go towards the 1200. That's when Campus Monitor Medina pulled up in his golf cart.
Okay. When campus monitor Medina pulled up in a golf cart, what did you and Mr. Peterson do?
We both got into the golf cart. Deputy Peterson got in the front seat with Medina, and I hopped onto the back of the golf cart.
And did Medina proceed to bring you up to the 1200 building?
Yes, sir.
Can you please just track that or just draw the route that Mr. Medina took? Thank you. Now, on the ride up there, could you see Mr. Peterson?
I was in the back. I can see him like leaning, talking on his radio.
Okay. Which way were you facing?
I was facing the front, looking north.
So were you kind of turned around?
No, I was
You jumped on the
straight
back like this.
Straight ahead.
Now, ultimately, were you dropped off by Medina?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm now showing you, I'm going to clear this one now. Now showing you what's already in evidence as State 17, a composite of 2 photographs. Looking at this first photograph here, can you please mark with an X approximately where you and Mr. Peterson were dropped off?
Good morning, Generous. Thank you for popping in. Hope your meeting goes well.
Over here.
Okay. When you were dropped off,
Oh, by the
Which
way, that
way were you
reminds me, is
facing?
Kestrel 42 here?
Was facing north.
Morning.
did you see Mr. Peterson get off the golf cart?
Don't recall it.
Okay. When you first got off the golf cart, did you hear anything?
I did hear something, yes.
What did you hear?
A
I haven't
gunshot.
seen her yet. Someone let me know
Where
if she
was
shows
that
up.
gunshot?
Oh, there she is. Okay, great. Would you like to be a moderator?
1200 building.
How did you know it was a gunshot?
Look, I'm familiar with gunshots, but Deputy Peterson said shots fired.
How far away, you can estimate this, were you from Mr. Peterson when
Do you have
heard the
Discord
shot and when he said shots fired?
so that you can be part of our YouTube mod
5
chat and
feet,
stuff?
so I was pretty close to him.
Okay. At any point in time, did you see Mr. Peterson take out his firearm?
Yes,
Was he holding it in his hand?
yes, sir.
Now, how far, and I
Great.
moved the picture,
Fantastic.
so I'm
You're a
gonna erase
moderator.
this.
Congratulations.
I apologize for that. Can you just mark again approximately where you were? How far would you estimate that you were from the building at that when you got off the golf cart?
The building itself?
Yes,
Um,
you can guess this estimate.
I'm going to say about 10, 15 yards, maybe.
Okay. Were you pretty close to the building?
Yes.
And you said you heard the shots from the 1200. Could you tell whether they were inside the building?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How could you tell?
Just from the sound of it.
Can you just describe to the jury what you mean by that?
It was like a booming sound. It's like it was enclosed. Yeah. I've heard shots outdoors before and also inside. It would sound like the shot was just enclosed.
So it sounds different when it's shot from the
Yes.
inside, is what you mean. Now, after that, you hear the gunshot. What did you do next?
Returned, ran south to the 700 building.
Could you
You want
please
to mark
just
that?
kind of mark the route of the trail, trace where you went?
To here, over to here, on the corner.
Why did you run away from the 1200 building?
Deputy said take cover, so it's that direction we ran to.
Did Mr. Peterson tell you to run that way, or did you just instinctually run
And
that way?
seemed to follow me, yes.
I'm sorry, I missed that answer.
Yes, sir. Just distinctively, I ran south.
And why did you instinctively run south?
Away from the building that I thought the shots were coming from.
Now, once you were in that position to the south in that hallway, what did you proceed to do? What did you do next?
Well, there was kids coming, trying to come out of the building, so I directed the kids back to the classroom to go back into the 700 building.
any point in time did you hear Mr. Peterson say anything to you?
Well, he told me to get back because, that I didn't have a weapon, to stay back either way. And he did say, get those kids back into the classroom.
And you did not have a weapon?
No, sir.
Could you see Mr.
All
Peterson?
right, I added
when you were
Kestrel and
back
also Jenna,
in the hallway area. Could you see him?
Generous to the YouTube mod
see his
chat
face
because
at any
I
point
don't
in
think
time?
I'd added Generous
Yes,
before
sir.
the YouTube mod
And
chat.
how many
So
years
you
have you
both
known Mr.
have
Peterson?
access to that now in
Nah.
Discord.
We were there for like 7 years, I think.
And during your daily day on campus, did you interact with them almost every day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you know him pretty well?
Yes, sir.
How did he appear to you when you saw him in that hallway?
It was different. I mean, he was sweating and breathing hard. So,
You said he looked different. What thought process did you have?
just his facial expression was, just didn't look the same. It was kind of like, I don't know, kind of blank in a sense.
When you saw that kind of blank, what did you think?
I really didn't know what to think. Whether he was going to respond, I didn't know. I just at that time, I just don't think he knew what was really what was going on.
Now, when you're in that position, do you hear more gunshots?
Yes,
Approximately how many more gunshots?
probably about 5.
Thank you,
4 or
Mary.
5 maybe.
Yeah.
And could you tell where those shots were coming from?
Same place, same building, 1200 building.
Now, at some point in time, when you're back in the hallway, did you see 5 kids exit the east side of the building?
Yes,
Okay. When you saw those kids, what did you do?
direct them back to class, away from that building.
How did you do so? You can use a
Just,
hand gesture.
just wait for them, tell them to go back.
You waved the kids to get away.
Mhm.
You have to say yes for the record, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
Did you see where those kids went?
They went back away from that building, back to class.
Okay. I'm going to show you. I'm showing you it's already in evidence of state 16. Do you recognize this photo?
Yes,
Does this photo show where you and Mr. Peterson were standing when you were closer to the building before you heard the shots?
Yeah, there was no.
yes.
Can you mark
I don't know why he would immediately resort. Why he immediately resorts to a personal attack? I mean, it's immediate,
Does this show?
right? I mean, we've had no interaction. Really, my first time speaking to him during the entire debate. Right?
Now, when
Joe
you
kind of interrupted me, which I took a bit
told
of
the
a
kids
front
to get back,
to
the kids
because
coming out of
I wanted to
the
finish my
1200
sentence.
building,
I
did
had
you see-
probably
could you
3
tell-
words left in my sentence.
Were they coming out of the
But
east
still,
side
I wanted
doors?
to finish it, right?
Yes.
Are those the east side
And
doors
Joe
that you
interrupted
see
me, and
there?
I,
Yes.
was a little peeved by that. But
Now, there were other kids.
but my
were there
first
other
words
kids
to
in
him
the
were like,
700
okay, I think you're
building
misreading
that you were
this.
next to also that you were
And
telling
he
Yes.
immediately resorts to the ad hominem. Oh, you're intellectually dishonest. He's full of bullshit. I'm like, no, I'm not intellectually dishonest. I think you're misreading this case. By which I mean overreading, misapplying. You're misreading this onto this.
Your Honor, at this
Right?
time,
You're
I would
taking
like to
this
show,
and
what's
reading
written
it
in
onto
evidence.
this situation.
It
You're
states-
misreading
it's,
it.
six as-
Which is like just it's not a comment about his character. It's just
Yes,
a comment
that's
about okay, you're misapplying this. You're over applying this. This doesn't work in this situation. This is the wrong principle. A conclusion I continue to stand by the way. I still have had 2 or 3 days to think about it, and I still think I'm right. And why are you just being such a personal dick and immediately going to, oh, you're dishonest. You're dishonest. You're being intellectually dishonest. I'm not going to sit here and let someone lie and be dishonest. It's full of bullshit. I'm like, what the fuck is your problem? Thank you, Ellen Parker, for the gift memberships as always. Your support is continually appreciated. And I might be wrong. Not about this, incidentally, I don't think. But I might be wrong about other things. And I would be happy to hear it and, reconsider my position.
Do you see the time?
Yes, sir.
What time is that?
But immediately saying, oh, you're being
2:23.
dishonest. Why?
Actually, Aaron, can you rewind that at the very beginning? I apologize.
Why immediately resort to such a personal attack? Literally ad hominem, right out the gate. And I'm like, okay, well,
Pause it there.
that's the end of that discussion.
Do you see the golf cart?
Yes.
Bottom left screen. Is that you hanging off the back?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what time is this?
It's at 2:23:16.
Okay. You can flip.
Yeah. I'm only wrong if proven wrong. Yeah, right.
Looking at
So,
the bottom
like,
left
yeah, this
hand
is what
screen,
I'm expecting to have happen, right? I'm going to make some
Do you
points.
recall
I'm going to make some
children coming out of the
arguments. He's going to make some
building on that
points.
green
He's going to
along
make some
the
arguments.
grassy area there?
Yes,
We'll
sir.
tease out each other's views and see
Were they
what
there
we
because
can
there was
come
a
up
fire
with.
drill, a fire alarm going off? I apologize.
And I don't think I was wrong about
I don't
that
recall
point.
the fire alarm.
I think
but,
he is
uh,
overreading
something
it.
happened to come out of that building.
But
the
you
reasons
recall
I've
seeing
expressed a couple
children
times
coming
at
out
this
of
point.
that building. Okay. Do you recall when those children ran back towards the 700?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The golf cart, bottom left hand, do you see it?
Yes, sir.
You're not, are you on that golf cart at that
No,
point in
sir.
time?
No, sir.
That's, who's the only person on that golf cart?
Medina.
Okay. So at this juncture, where are you and Mr. Peterson?
Well, we got off the golf cart.
Is that,
We're near the 1200 building off the golf cart.
is that the testimony earlier that when you did the X about where you were standing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Bottom left-hand screen, do you see the time?
Not for nothing. Like, I'm interested
Yes,
in the
sir.
contra
What time?
perspective because I think,
2:23:45.
Do you
at
see
least from my
yourself
very
in
limited
that
perspective, there
video?
seems to be
Yes, sir.
What were you doing at that
a
juncture?
reasonable split
Running towards the
of
700
opinion on this
Okay,
subject
are you
among
with
law
anybody at
team.
that point?
building. Deputy Peterson.
And I'm interested to hear contra viewpoints so that I can tease out my own
On the
ideas.
bottom left-hand screen, do you see
If
the
I'm
individual
wrong,
standing out there?
I'd
It's
like to
kinda
know
hard
that.
see, but do you see it?
Yes, sir.
So that I can
Is
come
that
back
you?
to you and be like,
No,
oh
sir.
yeah, no,
It's Deputy
this
Peterson.
is the right
Yes, sir.
analysis. Oh, this is the right way to think about it.
He's.
You
sorry,
see,
I'm
if
sorry,
I listen to
angle.
someone,
Is he
they
standing in the
expose my
hallway or is he
weaknesses,
standing outside?
I
of the
get
hallway?
smarter.
Just a little bit outside the
All
staircase.
right, I get smarter. My
And when you
trick,
say staircase, looking at
my
the
trick
top
for
photograph.
my trick for
On the
learning
bottom
and
right-hand
getting
side, you
smarter.
kind of see a hand.
If you
drill.
teach me
see
something,
it?
I will
Yes, sir.
know it.
Where does that
Then
lead
I'm
to?
smarter.
Upstairs
Wah,
at
wah, wah,
700.
wah.
Okay. Do you see, what time is it right now?
2:24:05.
What's in your right hand?
My radio.
What are you doing with your left hand?
I'm pointing, directing kids.
Are those the kids? And then Aaron, if you rewind it a little bit, please. You get it, bud. Bottom right-hand screen. Are you directing the kids that just ran out?
Just ran out of the building.
That
Yes, sir.
stairwell, bottom right-hand screen, do you see which stairwell, or do you know which
Yes.
stairwell that is?
Yes, sir.
Which-
It's on the east side of the building on the first floor.
So going back to states 16. It's this stairwell right here.
Okay. Yes, that's the east staircase.
After waving the children out, or when you were waving the children out, where was Mr. Peterson?
He's on his That spot on the 700 building.
And you know, sometimes
same
we
spot
get to
that we
the
saw
end
in
of
the
the
video?
page, and I still
Did you ever see
disagree.
him leave that spot while
Because
you
we just
were,
view things
next to him on the
differently. I
ground?
mean, I've disagreed with the U.S. Supreme Court on more than a couple occasions in very lopsided votes, and I think, yeah, the Supreme Court got this one wrong.
While you were still standing there, did you hear
You know,
more gunshots?
so sometimes we get to the end, and it's like, yeah, we just see it differently.
Approximately how many more?
But I like to have my thoughts tested out so I can try to make sure
Was
that
it
I'm as
loud?
right as I know how to be.
Could you tell where it was coming from?
Still straight ahead, 1200 building.
Now, after you are going back to states 17, after you actually let me go to the second photo, state 17. After you're in the hallway there, do you ultimately leave that area?
Yes, sir.
Where did you go?
I walked back south, back towards the auditorium,
Why did you do that?
to put more kids back. There was a couple of kids hanging out up in that area, so we put them back inside the auditorium.
Okay. Now, we spoke earlier about these Code Red drills. What was your responsibility during a Code Red drill?
Well, a code red should have completed lockdown. I should have went and took cover or locked myself into a security place. But I just took it upon myself, I guess, to go where, the problem was located, where the problem was reported.
Yeah, Hunter Biden
Reported
apparently
1200,
pled guilty.
so
I haven't had a
went,
chance to look into
and
the
once
story,
I heard
but I saw the
gunshots,
headline.
Technically, I should have went and locked myself down.
But what did you do instead?
Make sure there was...
Try to look into it during a break or something.
During the Code Red, based upon the training in January as well as other training as being a security specialist, do you know what Mr. Peterson's job was during a Code Red?
For Deputy Peterson? No, I'm not sure.
Now, after putting the children back into
See if we can get an actual
classrooms, where
copy
did
of
you
his
go to?
plea deal.
I went to the camera
The
room.
Department of Justice
Where's
go
the
over that.
camera
That'd be good.
Camera room is in building 1.
Going back to States 1.
Let me see if I can pull that up while we're waiting.
Building 1?
Yes.
Who did you go with?
Mr. Morford, assistant principal.
When you went to the camera room, or is the camera room located near your office?
Yes, it's the door just before my office.
Okay. And are you familiar with the camera system?
Yes, sir.
How did you become familiar with that system?
Mr. Rosario, assistant principal.
He taught you?
Yes.
Okay. Ready to push what is your?
You may.
Mr. Greenlee, if I'm showing you it's been previously marked for states identification as 2Y or YY, do you recognize this diagram?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you familiar with what it's detailing?
Yes, sir. The direction.
Okay. Is this diagram an accurate representation of what it depicts?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would request to move into Y as evidence.
Any objection? No objection. Without objection, states 2Y for identification without being evidence that it states Exhibit 50.
Your Honor, may I publish on the screen?
You may.
Mr. Greenlee, I'm now showing you what's been entered into evidence as states 50. What are we looking at here?
Those are the position of the cameras inside of the 1200 building.
And what do the red cameras indicate?
Red camera are the ones that inside the hallways,
Okay. And what do the black indicators mean?
the staircases.
And you're familiar with these cameras as you just testified, Mr. Rosario touched the camera system?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, approach.
You may.
Mr. Greenlee, I'm not showing you what's been previously marked for identification as states 2Z or ZZ. Do you recognize this diagram?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and are you familiar with what's on it? What's depicted on this diagram?
Those are cameras that's around the campus.
Okay. And at this time, the state would request to move in what's been previously marked as states 2Z or 2 evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
Without objection, states 2Z for identification will now be in evidence as States Exhibit 51.
So it looks like Hunter Biden pleads to the he enters a diversion program for the firearm thing and pleads guilty to 2 misdemeanor counts for failure to pay taxes. So I don't think,
So, Mr.
yeah,
Chairman,
so
going
he
back to
doesn't
states,
become a convicted felon, which is
50.
slightly annoying.
This is the 1200 building inside, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now looking at states 51.
Thank you, Dee, for the
What are
gift
these?
memberships, by the way.
Those are the cameras that's located on campus.
We don't have a full
Now,
copy of the
focusing
plea
your
yet, because
attention
it's
to
been
the
filed
building
with the clerk.
12 on the east side. All right, are there any cameras that are focused on the east doorway of the 1200 building?
For the interest part, no.
And looking specifically at camera angle 54. Do you see that there?
Yes, sir.
Is that the camera angle that we saw before when you and Mr. Peterson ran from the 1200 building back to the 700 building?
No, sir. Well, the one pointing down the walkway, yes, it did point down.
Camera 54. While you were in the camera room, what were you tasked with doing? What did you have to do?
Uh-oh. Video go bye-bye.
I had to, turn the computer
Video
on,
come back.
bring it back up, and I pulled up all the frames for the 1200 building to see what was going on.
By frames, do you mean from the cameras inside?
Inside the 1200, yes, first floor through the third floor.
Okay. In terms of the camera system, how does it work?
I'm
Is it a
disappointed
live
that he
feed?
isn't getting a convicted
Yes.
felony.
Okay.
I'm
When
a
you
little bit
pulled it
disappointed
up,
that
you
he's
said
not a
you turned the
convicted
camera
felon.
on.
I'm not
The
going to
camera,
lie.
I'm sorry. You turned the computer on, brought up the cameras.
He pleads
What
guilty
did
to
you
2
do?
misdemeanors and gets a
I had
diversion
to
on the
pull
gun
the
thing.
1200 building separately. away
I'm a little bit
from the rest
disappointed
of the
that he
cameras.
isn't going to be a
So once I
convicted
set
felon. I'm
it
not
up
going to
from
lie.
first to the third floor, and that's when it was visible for us to see what was going on.
Could you see what was happening live when you did that?
Yes.
Could you actually see anything?
No. We did see, when I turned it on live, there appeared to be dust, smoke, or something of that nature in the air.
Okay. So because there was dust and smoke, what did you do?
I took it back to the recorded section. We put it on record to see what had happened previously to that, see what caused that smoke.
Okay.
So I took it back to the very beginning. That's when I saw the suspect walk into the building.
Okay, so just for clarification for the jury, you can watch it live, but it's also recorded.
Recorded, yes.
So you actually rewound it to actually see what had
Yes.
occurred in that building.
Right.
And approximately how far back did you have to rewind?
Not far, because I had an idea of what time we wanted to look back, around 2:15, 2:20. So I have to go back too far. We got there, I don't know, about 2:30-ish maybe.
So about 15
yeah,
minutes or
15
so?
minutes.
When you're operating the system, what is Mr. Morford doing?
He was on the radio transmitting,
Do you know who he was transmitting to?
talking to Deputy Peterson.
Could you hear when Deputy Peterson was responding back to AP Morford?
Some things, but, I don't know exactly what he was responding back to, because I was, focusing on the camera, telling more for what to pass out.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to show it's already in evidence as states F11 is part of states 6.
The screens need to be off.
No, they do not.
They do not. Okay. You may proceed.
I'm disappointed that we didn't press the gun charge a little bit more. Yeah.
You've seen this video before, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you see yourself on it?
Yes, sir.
Is that your office?
Yes.
Okay. Where is Mr. Peterson's office?
Straight ahead. From my right, I'm looking straight into his office.
So just the one directly to the right of you?
Yes.
Okay. Or to the,
Straight across.
Or was he
Straight across
indicted?
the hall.
Technically, he
Yeah,
wasn't
right.
indicted.
understood, on the other side.
This is all filed by information.
And what time is this at?
This
And it
is at
was,
2:22.
I forget somewhere. Hold on. I had it up and then I lost it. Was it Delaware?
Who is that behind you?
Hold on 1 second.
This campus monitor stopped.
Yeah, Delaware. U.S. District Court of Delaware.
Do you see yourself on this video?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and who's standing, I guess, to the right of you?
Deputy Peterson.
Do you see the time here?
Yes, sir.
What time is it?
2:22:39.
You begin to head north at this point?
Yes, sir.
Are you doing it in a quicker
Yes,
manner?
sir.
Why is that?
Hearing sounds.
Is that the golf cart on the right side that you couldn't get the keys for?
Yes, sir.
Is that you on the back of the golf cart?
Yes, sir.
That is the one driven by the Dino with Mr. Peterson on the passenger side?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you see people running while you were driving on the golf cart south?
Yes.
And were they running southbound?
Southbound.
They were running. Were they running away from the 1200 building area?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Looking at this screen here, do you see what time it is?
Yes, sir.
What time is it?
2:23:12.
Is that the golf cart that you're on?
Yes, sir.
Do you see what time it is?
Yes, sir.
What time is it?
2:23:18.
Can you see yourself on camera anymore or no?
No, sir.
Okay. Are these the students that you saw walking out?
Yes, sir.
And then these are the students you saw running back
Yes.
away from the 1200?
Yes, sir.
The golf cart, top left. Do you see what time it is?
Yes, sir.
What time is it?
2:23:33.
At this point in time, where are you?
I'm off the golf cart. I was standing by the 1200 building.
So you're off video.
Yes, sir.
Do you see yourself on video here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what time is it?
It's on 2:23:44.
Off camera, approximately 26 seconds. Does that sound about right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you see yourself, and I can remind you of not going with this gesture?
Yes.
What were you doing there?
Waiting to count on some kids back.
Okay. Another hand gesture. Is that the one for the kids coming out
Kids.
outside the 1200 building?
Yes, on the east side of the 1200 building. Yes, sir.
Do you recall who these two individuals are?
There's two school teachers.
Okay. What were you doing there?
We directed them to go back because they were going to their building. They was going to the 1200.
And you said their building, so that's where they're assigned?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What are you doing there?
Directing kids back into the classroom, 700 building.
So this is the 700 building and the classroom doors open to the outside?
Outside, yes, sir.
Now, during this whole time here, where's Mr. Peterson?
Standing on the corner of the 700 building.
In the same spot?
Yes, sir.
Would that be to the bottom right hand of the screen, like off camera?
Yes, sir.
Who is that person walking towards us there?
Campus monitor Starbley.
When you were seen jogging or running southbound, where were you headed to there?
To the auditorium.
Why did you go to the auditorium?
There were students out there.
Approximately how long were you with Mr. Peterson in that general area that we just saw?
Over 2 minutes.
Did you say
Over 2 minutes?
over 2 minutes?
Yes, sir.
During that point in time, did Mr. Peterson leave the spot that he was in?
No, sir.
Over that point in time, did you see Mr. Peterson do anything besides operate the radios?
No, sir.
At this time, I can defer to Mr. Greenland.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a real quick restroom break. Then we'll pick it up with the cross-examination of the witness. Same admonition as always, please do not discuss the facts of the case, the evidence, the witnesses, or the testimony amongst yourselves or anyone else till we reach the end of the case. You will leave the notepads in your chairs and step in the back home in 1 moment. I will be right back with you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, that's where we are
Outside
so
the presence
far.
of the jury, real quick 5-minute restroom break. Sir, if you want to step down, you may do so. You can talk to anyone you want about anything you want. It's not anything to do with your testimony or the facts of this case. It's just like you're on the witness stand.
Yes, sir.
All right, so if you want to use the restroom, I'll see you back here in 5 minutes. We'll be in recess for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Fine. So we're just taking a brief break here. So yeah, for those of you who missed it while we were sort of talking over the trial, Hunter Biden is pleading guilty to 2 counts relating to his taxes, 2 misdemeanors, and entering some sort of pre-trial diversion thing with respect to the firearms violation. So not even technically pleading guilty, which is annoying to me. So 2 misdemeanor convictions, no felony conviction. That's a little annoying. I don't really mind the no time thing, but the fact that there's no felony on his record does kind of piss me off a little bit. So, oh well. And we don't have a full copy of the plea agreement yet. We just have notice from the DOJ that they're going to enter a plea. So all we have right now, I will share you the totality of what we have because it's the totality of what we have. Not much. Just a notice from the Department of Justice in the Delaware Division. Enclosed, please find two informations. The word information here is technical. It's a way to bring charges other than indictment, right? In a case of anything more than 6 months, I think, or maybe it's more than a year. I'd have to double check. Either way, so if it's less than like 6 months or it's less than a year, then I don't think you have to get an indictment. If it's anything more than that, you have to get an indictment. An indictment only comes from a grand jury. But you can also charge someone by information with their consent if they agree. And of course, this is part of a plea agreement. So, like, let's not go to a grand jury. We're going to file an information that formally lays out the charge. So, enclosed, please find two informations to be docketed in criminal matters involving the above referenced defendant. That would be, of course, Hunter Biden. The first information charges defendant with tax offenses, namely 2 counts of willful failure to pay federal income tax in violation of law. Defendant has agreed to plead guilty to both counts of tax information. The second information charges the defense with firearms offense, namely 1 count of possession of firearm of a person who's an unlawful user of or addicted to a controlled substance in violation of 18 U.S.C. 922 G3. The defendant has agreed to enter a pre-trial diversion agreement with respect to the firearm information, so not pleading guilty. The defendant is represented by Christopher Clark. The parties jointly request the court schedule consolidated initial appearance because he's not been formally charged, because we're filing the charges like literally right now. So there's not been an appearance because there's, there wouldn't be. So file a consolidated information on the or initial appearance on the firearm information and initial appearance, and charge a plea hearing on tax information. Original executed copies of the memorandum of the plea agreement related to tax information and pre-trial diversion agreement relating to firearm will be submitted at or in advance of the hearing. So we don't have that right now. So we don't have a full copy of the plea agreement, which is a little annoying, but or at least I don't have a copy of it. So that's what we have so far. So that's what's going on there. Yeah. So, yeah. So yeah, pretty big slap on the wrist, really. 2 years probation. Hunter Biden's probation officer might be interesting. And no felony conviction. So you 2 years of probation, keep your nose clean, don't use drugs. Presumably has to submit to random drug tests and stuff like that. So yeah. He did pay his taxes, by the way, eventually. It was over $1 million. I think it was $1.4 million, but don't quote me on that number. I'd have to double check it out. But yeah, he did eventually pay his taxes, I believe. It was only short by like $1.4 million, but he did pay it. But yeah, no criminal. Well, he gets the misdemeanor conviction and no felony conviction, which is annoying. Especially because you have him dead to rights on the firearms thing. But I guess, the DOJ has, I'm not familiar with the diversion program on firearms, to be honest. But apparently they have some sort of diversion program for nonviolent felons for firearms violations. So if they offer it to everyone else, then offering it to him, I guess, makes sense, if we're treating him equally. So if that's something the DOJ typically does, I'm not familiar with it, but okay. And if it's something they typically do and they made it available to him because his crimes are not violent in their nature and this is a first offense, then, fine. I'm not an expert on the pre-diversion program. I'm just a little disappointed that we don't get the conviction of the felony. And I also don't know whether or not these misdemeanor charges carry a maximum penalty of more than 2 years, because if they do, that now would make him disqualified from having firearms in the future, which I'm sure it will be made clear to him in his plea agreement. I suppose I could look it up. Let's see. 26 USC 7203. Let's see if I can figure out what the penalty is for this. USC 7203. Willful failure to file a return. Come on, Judicia. All right. Guilty of a misdemeanor, imprisoned not more than 1 year. Damn it. case of willful violation, it would be a felony, but it's not more than 1 year, which means it doesn't disqualify him from owning firearms in the future. Damn it. Oh well. He could have been charged with a felony for willful failure? Sure. Yeah, he could have been charged with willful failure, but it looks like he's pleading to non-willful failure. So, fine. Fine. Oh well. That's how we're going. Yeah. I also don't think the firearm ban applies to antique firearms. So I also don't think it applies to anything before 1898. So you can get yourself an antique called pacemaker or something, I think. We're into that kind of thing. Thank you, Skeezy, for the 5 gift memberships. That's very nice of you. Very much appreciated. Thank you. We appreciate everyone who supports the channel financially. We appreciate the 216 of you who are currently here. We appreciate the 33 of you who have so far retweeted the pinned link and helped to bring attention to the channel and help the channel grow. It is appreciated. We like the channel to grow. We'd like the channel to grow and get more viewers. We'd like to have more live viewers. We'd like to have more participation. We'd like to have more people here, help the channel do its very best. And I appreciate every one of you who is here and helps the channel be a little bit better because you guys give me the motivation to keep going. And I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know anything about this missing submersible. Everyone's dead. I can tell you that. Uh, yeah. Everyone's dead. Uh, a submersible with 5 people on board has gone missing. They were looking at the Titanic. They're all dead. I'm pretty sure they're all dead. Uh, the deep sea vessel lost contact an hour and 45 minutes after submerging with a 96-hour oxygen supply. They're all dead. They're all very dead. They're all incredibly dead. Apparently, the dead people include Hamish Harding, a British businessman, Paul Henry Nargolani, a French diver and Titanic's expert, Shahdaza Dawood, a Pakistani businessman, and his son, Shamuli Dawood. They're all dead. They're all incredibly dead. Yeah. This entire conversation I'm having right now reminds me of a skit that was done on The Onion on their video channel. They have this autistic reporter and they do skits with this autistic reporter and and uh and one of the skits they did was of like children lost in the woods as like it has been negative 20 degrees out there for the last 30 days. The human body can survive only 3 hours without shelter. Is there any shelter in the woods? No. They are dead. I have found the hikers. They are there in the woods. We can call off the search. They are dead. Yeah. I don't know why people are continuing to search in the woods for their survivors. There are no survivors. They are dead.
Or Mr. Klinger present for the state. I have Mr. Driver present, Mr. Peterson. Who likewise is present. We are outside the presence of the jury. The witness remains on the witness stand. State, anything you need to address before we resume?
Your Honor, there was just a question with Mr. Aguilar and wanting to use a photograph of the witness. I mean, I know you can do it.
I'll probably use the one you gave me instead.
You're going to use one.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
But no objections.
But no objection.
Okay. Mr. Driver, if you got anything you need to go through before we bring the jury back in and begin the cross-examination? No, you're not. Okay. Please bring the jury back.
Apparently there's supposed to be some sort of safety mechanism that causes the submersible to slowly float to the surface by itself. So maybe that'll happen. Maybe they will be undead. I'm going with they're all dead though. Head until proven otherwise. Oh, they signed a waiver? Oh, yeah, I'm sure that there will be no lawsuits then. Oh, okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. After negotiation may be seated. All the parties may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you using the notepads, I'll give you a moment to get those notepads back out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. When we took our quick restroom break, we just completed the direct examination of the witness who remains on the witness stand and under oath. So at this point, we're going to pick it up with the cross-examination.
Did you just show a juror just now?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yep.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm choosing to be wonderful. You? It's great to see you again. We met during a video deposition back on November 30th of 2021. Remember?
Yes.
That? I got a chance to ask you everything that you saw and heard, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go through some of that testimony that I heard you give on direct. First, started off, you said you were you're a fitness specialist now, a trainer, correct?
Yes.
All right. And you've been training for about 14 years, correct? And on the day of the shooting, February 14, 2018, you're employed as what we call a security specialist, correct?
Yes.
And you had been there approximately 9 years as of February 14, 2018, correct?
No, not 9. I came here in 2011 and I was out in 2018.
Okay. And when did you first meet Scot Peterson?
When I came here.
And how would you characterize him professionally? What kind of job he did?
They did great.
Tell the jurors about that. What do you mean?
Well, anytime I needed him, doing searches, fights, stolen cell phones and things of that nature, he was always there for me.
And by fights, you don't mean any that you got into?
No, with my students. With students.
And if students were fighting, did you see Scott immediately jump in the middle of things to separate kids?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever get the sense that he was a coward in any respect?
No.
Did you get just the opposite sense from him?
Yes, sir.
And how was he with the kids, his interaction with the kids?
He was good with kids. That's what you're really good with kids.
And let me ask you about the incident that you first hear, okay? You hear something over the school radio, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it was Andrew Medina saying something about a suspicious person walking into the 1200 building, correct?
Yes, sir.
At the time, you didn't know whether my client was monitoring his school radio, correct?
Right. No, sir.
And there are times where, even though something is said over the school radio, you guys don't always catch it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jurors, explain to them how come you wouldn't necessarily hear everything that goes over a school radio.
Well, you wouldn't always hear it because sometimes the volume is turned down, sometimes it's down low, or it's too low where you really can't hear what they're saying. You ask them to repeat, if you could pick up what we just said.
What about when you're performing tasks and you have divided attention?
Right. Well, that occurs as well. And with Deputy Peterson, he tries to monitor two radios, actually. He tries to monitor the school radio and his BSO issue radio, which actually caused him a lot of problems at the school. The reception is not that well. Sometimes they have to get up, people have to go outside to use that BSO issue radio.
We were going to talk about that, but I'm glad you brought that up. So there have been, prior to even this incident, times where my client has problems with his BSO radio, correct?
Right.
And you'll physically see him, I think he just said, get up and try to get into the open to be able to get reception, correct?
Yes.
And be able to say things, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we even see him on the video taking a few steps beyond the concrete as he's standing there on his radio, even during the shooting, correct?
Yes, sir.
And one of the things that you do when you walk into his office is you wanted to know whether he even heard the school transmission, right? What came over the school radio?
Well, I asked him, did you hear the transmission?
And you would never have assumed that he would have heard it because there are many times where he doesn't hear those things, correct?
There are occasions, yes.
All right. And he never answers you when you ask him if he heard it. He just said, let's go, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you don't know what, if any of the things that came over the school radio he actually heard, correct?
I don't know, no, sir. No.
But you do see him doing something in his office. He's working, he's researching. You saw that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jurors what you saw when those transmissions went out over the radio, what he was actually doing in his office at the time.
We was on the computer, because it was a pretty busy day. We had a lot of searches going on. He was doing paperwork. When I spoke to him, his back was turned, he was on the computer typing. So.
You didn't see him with his school radio on him. You saw it charging on the other side of the room, correct?
I don't remember seeing his radio, but I remember seeing him at the computer doing work.
Got it. And it looked as if he was intently working on his computer, correct?
Yes, he was on the computer, yes, sir.
Now, he doesn't hesitate. In other words, some lazy cops, I guess, will just, you go deal with it. He jumps up and immediately leaves, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He said, okay, let's go, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, when you get into, outside of the 100 building, where your office is located, the fire alarm goes off, doesn't it?
I don't recall that. Yeah, I don't.
Okay. But isn't that the sound that you hear when you initially come out, you guys are walking, and then we see on the video, and I can play it for you, you then start to move quickly because the fire alarm goes off.
I remember me starting moving quickly, yes.
Okay. And you initially start to run towards the 1200 building, correct?
Yes, sir.
But then Medina picks you up in a golf cart, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you jump onto the back of the golf cart, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, Medina says nothing to you guys while you're in the golf cart.
No, sir.
And I see you making a face. Tell the jurors why that frustrates you.
Well, because it could have taken a lot of the guesswork out, pretty much what was going on, because he knew exactly what was going on. And it was that definition office.
Tell the jurors what you mean by that. Medina knew what was going on, and he didn't tell you that.
Correct. Oh, well, he saw the kid walk into the 1200 building. He knew exactly how many people had walked into the building, and he knew that that particular person walked in carrying a rifle bag. And it passed it on around to Deputy Peterson and myself.
How does that make you feel?
No, when I did it, 17 people got killed.
You believe that part of Medina's job as a monitor was to convey that important information to both you and Deputy Peterson, correct?
Correct.
You've lost sleep over it, haven't you?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's the legal objection?
Relevance?
Yeah, that's the same. Go ahead, sir. Ask your next question.
You do see my client on his police radio all the way to the 1200 building, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you remember him listening intently, correct?
Yes, sir.
Trying to gather real-time intelligence, correct?
Yes, sir.
So when you arrive at the 1200 building, both you and Deputy Peterson get off of the golf cart, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to go through the video and have you take us through that.
Robert, we don't all die. I'm going to live forever. I'm going to the gym. I'm eating healthier. I'm never going to die. You take back that. You take back that mean lie, Robert.
So this is the 100 building, correct?
Right.
This is when you and Deputy Peterson are leaving that building.
You don't want me to die because you are all just imaginary people in my head. I'm solipsistic. I'm the only real person. You are all but phantoms in my mind. So if I die, you die too.
14 you're seeing, right?
Yeah. So you better want me
And
to
so
keep
that's,
living.
who's that in the hallway? You and Deputy Peterson?
Yes, sir.
It's busy up in my brain.
No, stop. You begin running because the fire alarm's going off, correct?
Well, something got my attention, plus I saw Medina driving up on the golf cart.
Okay. And then what happens next? Let's go. Keep going. You guys are both jogging, correct?
Yes, sir.
Scott Peterson is jogging now towards where he needs to go, correct?
Yes, sir.
And at that point, let me just pause for a moment. When you see him jogging and you see him acting up to this point, do you believe he's doing everything he can to be present and to help whoever needs him?
He was trying to get down to the area where he's going.
Okay. At no point does he say, hey, I'm out of here, I'm going to go jump into my car. He doesn't say anything like that.
No, sir.
Everything else was focused on trying to be of service, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, next thing. Keep going. So now you're driving towards the 1200 building, correct?
Yes, sir.
And pause for a moment. You had described Scott's demeanor. You had never seen him act this way before.
No, sir.
Had there ever been a scenario on campus in all those years that you would analogize or say was similar to what you were going through here?
No.
It was like nothing else, correct?
No, sir.
And even you, how are you feeling at the moment?
Not good. Not good.
I can understand. Did Scott look the same way?
Yeah, he had a little bit more pressure. I think a little bit more stress over him trying to handle the radio and stuff like that.
You saw that he looked pressured?
Yes.
He looked stressed? He didn't look like a man who was calm and just standing
Most
around.
irrational fear of death I have is fear of death by escalator.
Majority of the time.
That's that.
And keep going.
I looked it up once. I think the number of people who die by escalator every year is like
Yes.
12. It's roughly the number of people who die by vending machine.
We're
So,
at 223.20
But escalators
now,
scare me.
correct?
They've got those really sharp teeth
Pause
in
for a
them.
moment.
They look very menacing.
There were kids coming out of the 700 building, correct?
Yes.
And they were all coming out because the fire alarm had gone off, correct?
I don't know the reason why they came out. It could have been, I don't know why they came out, but I do know that they were coming out.
Well, the bell hadn't rung yet,
Not
correct?
happening, but I like I say, myself, I don't remember hearing the fire alarm.
I got that. And isn't that, I mean, and you wouldn't be lying about that if the fire alarm was going off. It's just one of those things, right? Is that a yes?
Sorry to hear that, Jessica.
Meaning that because this was a very stressful situation.
Sorry for your
it's possible
loss.
The fire alarm was going off, which would make sense because the kids are leaving the 700 building, right?
Objection is to counsel testifying.
Yeah, that's the same.
That sucks hard.
Question mark at the end.
I hope that we can make your day
Would
just a
kids be
little
coming
bit
out of the
better.
700 building
And I
prior to
hope
the bell
that you
leaving
will,
like this unless there was a fire alarm?
No, sir, not.
I hope that you will have some peace in your life.
How
I'm really,
many
really sorry
hundreds
that
of
happened to
kids
you.
are in the 700?
Thanks for joining us.
Quite a few.
Let's ballpark it, just so we know how many came out.
Just on that, in that area? Or
The entire 700 building, I
The
know.
entire 700 building, it's like hundreds of kids, like 600-700 kids to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's no kid that's immune to the fire alarm. In other words, you don't have any special kids who they get to stay in the building. They're coming out, correct? And did anyone ever ask you to compile a list of all the students who came out of the 700 building during the fire alarm?
No, sir.
It wouldn't have been difficult, right? Because there's a teacher, and each teacher has a classroom, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you know any of these kids that are coming out? Like, can you identify any of them?
I can't write it down, but I'm pretty sure.
Thank you, Jessica. That's nice of you to say.
Okay. And keep going, please. And you see that they look like they immediately start running in a different direction, correct?
Objection is to counsel testifying.
Yes, that's the statement, yeah.
Do you see them reacting on the video?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in which direction do they run?
They were running back south, back into the building.
Okay.
Like to 710, I think it was.
All right. And pause for a moment. So there's a period of time where you both don't run to cover yet, correct?
Right.
You're standing by the side of the 1200 building, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you said that you heard some shots fired, correct?
Yes.
And isn't it a fact that you merely assumed, based upon what you had heard on the radio, coupled with the sounds, that they were coming from the 1200 building?
Well, I knew there was gunshots and was confirmed when the police yelled out, shots fired.
Okay. So in terms of the location though, didn't you make an assumption based upon what you had heard on the school radio, coupled with the sounds, you assumed that they were coming from the 1200 building, correct?
No, sir. I knew they was coming from the 1200 building.
Do you ever then say to Scott, hey Scott, there's shots in the 1200 building?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
Oh.
So in all fairness, you don't know what he was thinking, correct?
Right.
I need to create the link for his afternoon session as
And-
well. So let me go ahead and do that while I'm thinking about it.
He doesn't immediately run to a position of cover. Both of you stand next to the building and then you see him on his radios, correct?
Yes, sir.
You see him immediately yelling into his BSO radio that, possible firecracker, shots fired, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you hear him order a code red on his school radio,
Yes,
correct?
sir. Mhm.
And whose benefit was that for? When you're hearing that, what are you thinking? Whose benefit was that for?
The students, the staff members,
Everybody.
everyone on that campus, yes.
And up to that point, did you believe Scott was doing everything he could?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And even though you thought that the shots might have been coming from the 1200 building, number one, you don't know how many shooters are on campus, correct?
Correct.
There could be, in your mind, multiple shooters in different locations, correct?
Could have been, yes, sir.
Did you know whether the shots were contained exclusively in the 1200 building, or could they
Right,
have
too many things
also
at
been
once.
coming out of the 1200 building?
From the ones I remember hearing, were inside the 1200.
I understand. Did you eliminate in your head as a possibility that those shots would never then come out of the 1200 building? Or was that a possibility?
No, sir. Like I said, the shots I know for certain that I heard came from inside of that building.
You worked real hard to make sure that those kids who were coming out of the 700 building got back into their classroom, correct?
Yes, sir.
There was a reason why you didn't want kids around the area of the 1200 building, isn't that correct?
I wanted those kids nowhere near the 1200 building because I knew the shots were coming from inside the 1200 building.
Okay. And you certainly thought that if they remained outside, they
I guess
could
I'll
be harmed
schedule it
someone,
for-
correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
12:45?
And it wasn't, you weren't the only one who wanted the kids back in. Scott wanted the kids back in, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's speculation, Your Honor.
Yeah, but that's his thing.
Well, let's take a look at the video. You remember him showing you the video earlier, correct?
Yes, sir.
Where you're gesturing to get the kids back inside, correct?
Yes, sir.
But take a look. Isn't Scott gesturing as well?
Judge, I'm going to object to that.
Yeah, that's the same.
All right, I've created a placeholder for this afternoon stream. I'm going to finalize that while they're arguing about. Well, I mean, is he gesturing? Yeah, you can't ask him based on the video. You can ask him based on what he saw, right? So the question wasn't proper. Like, did you see him gesturing? You can't ask him. You can't ask him. Can you see him gesturing on the video? Because the jury can see that. Like, you can bring that up. You can bring that up in close. Like, you can see in this evidence he's gesturing. You can't ask him what he sees in the video. The question isn't proper. You can ask him, did you see him gesture? But you can't ask him, do you see him in the video gesture? The question's no. It's sustained. You can't hear me over the white noise? Good news. Can't hear me over the white noise?
Did you have the chance to see Deputy Peterson gesturing at all in real time?
I don't recall it. I mean, I see it on here, but he did tell me, hey, make sure those kids get back in the classrooms.
So he specifically asked you to make sure that those kids went back in, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did it seem that he had a sincere belief that those kids were in harm's way?
Yes, sir.
So for those of you who couldn't hear me because of the white noise, what I was saying was that his prior question was improper. Because his prior question was, do you see him in the video gesturing? That's an improper question.
Tells you, he orders you,
Because
get the
you're not
kids
asking
back
what
into
the
classroom,
witness himself
correct?
saw.
Yes, sir.
You're asking
And
him
he
what the
didn't say in
video
a soft
shows.
voice. It was a loud,
And he's not a
powerful
video
voice, I would
expert.
imagine, correct?
And as to what it
Yes,
shows,
sir.
the
It was
jury's able
clear,
to
loud
see
and clear.
just as well. So the question's improper because he's in no better position than the
You
jury
also
to
had concerns about the
determine
safety of the
what
kids
is
who were in the
seen in
parking
the
lot
video.
area too,
Right, so you
correct?
bring that up
Yes,
in
sir.
close. Like in this gesture, in this video, we
You
can
didn't know if
see
they'd be shot by any
Peterson
bullets, correct?
gesturing
Correct.
just the same way he was, right? You can bring it up in close, but you can't ask the witness the question in the video, do you see X? You can ask him, did you see X?
You
As
recall
reflected
seeing
in
my
the video.
client
The
as he's
question is,
doing all
what
this,
did you see?
He's sweating, correct?
Right?
Yes, sir.
So
He's
the question
breathing
was
hard,
improper.
correct?
Yes,
That
sir.
makes sense.
And it was your words that I heard on direct, correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't think he knew what was going on, correct?
Right. Yes,
Tell
sir.
the jurors what you meant by that.
Well, when I looked at him, he just had pretty much like a blank look on his face. There was so much going on, and I can imagine the stress, the pressure that he was under. So, and I pretty much just I felt helpless, like there's nothing nothing I can do, and I just don't think he realized pretty much what was going on.
But you do see him monitoring both radios
Yes.
in real time to try to figure it out, correct?
Right. Yes, sir.
And while he's monitoring both radios, trying to figure it out, he had his pistol out. You saw that, correct?
Yes, sir.
He's allowed
You
to
also
leave. He's
remember
on
him
cross.
scanning the
He can
area
leave.
with his
So that's not
handgun
the problem.
drawn, correct?
Yes, sir.
And to you, it appeared that he was trying to look and see where the shooter or shooters may be located. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir. Well, he did look out straight ahead and did look to the left and to the right. Yes, sir.
Okay. And during this whole time, you still see my client monitoring to ensure that there were no kids running out of the 700 building, correct?
Yes, sir.
That was an ongoing thing because you both wanted to make sure that they weren't in harm's way, correct?
Yes, sir.
And by the way, you never knew when ultimately the shooter left the building, correct?
No, sir, not at that time, no.
You do recall my client directing Assistant Principal Morford to go to the camera room to review the surveillance.
I don't recall hearing it, but once I got up to Morford, he did say, let's go to the camera room.
Okay.
So,
And Morford was speaking without question to Scot Peterson as the information is being relayed, correct?
yes, sir.
It was Morford saying, hey, Green, let's go to the camera room, correct?
Green, yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, that's sustained. Go ahead, sir, ask your next question.
Didn't you testify on direct that Morford told you, Green, let's go to the camera room?
Greenleaf, yes, sir.
And you were in the camera room for quite some time, correct?
Yes, sir.
What was so difficult, and again, I don't know anything about it, so tell us what was so difficult in trying to locate where the shooter was in real time?
Because when the computer first come on, it's live. And we didn't see the shooter at that particular time when it was live. That's what made us decide to go back. Because the only thing we saw was the dust. When it was live, we saw a few bodies on the floor, and that's what made me take it back to the beginning to find out what had transpired.
At no time during this lengthy process of you reviewing the video did my client stop talking to Jeffrey Morford, correct?
Yes, sir. We was feeding him the detail that we saw inside the building, yes.
Okay. Do you know where my client was looking when you claim you saw kids running out of the 1200 building?
He was standing on the corner. I don't know exactly
Right.
what he was doing. I mean, I know he was on the radio, but where he was looking, I don't know.
Those kids never came towards you, did they?
No, sir.
They ran in opposite direction from where you guys were, correct?
Yes, sir.
And from the photo that we saw earlier, where's that photo? I'm showing you what's been marked as 3 of 3 of the state's composite exhibit, which is 16. This is the same photo they showed you earlier, and there is...
This guy on
What is
cross
that
is overall
in
like
front of
8.5
the
out
door
of 10.
of the
He's very,
east
very solid.
stairwell?
He gets out
The
of
pipe with the
control a
fence around
little
it?
bit. I think
That
some
was
of that
there
might
on
be
the day in
deliberate,
question,
though.
correct?
Perhaps I'm
And also that
underscoring him
big
slightly
maroon pillar,
because some of it
correct?
might be deliberately
Yes, sir.
strategic. So maybe I should be
And
a
you just
little bit more
happened to be
generous than
looking
8.5.
As those kids ran
He
out,
does tend to get
correct?
ahead of himself, and he
Yes,
does
sir.
ask proper questions. I
But
don't know
at
whether
no
he knows
point
he's
did
doing
they
that or not.
turn and
He's
run
trying to do
towards
that
you
and see what
or
he can get
Scot
away
Peterson,
with. Maybe he's just
correct?
pushing
Right,
the
correct.
envelope. But overall, he's very good across, and he's very good in getting out what he needs.
And
9 out of
also,
10. We'll be a little bit more generous. 9 out
when
of
you're
10.
standing where Scot Peterson was and where you were, okay, and you look to the west, was there anything there in front of you like a tree?
I didn't look to the west side, but there is a tree, but I don't know how far out.
All right, let me show you what's been marked as defense exhibit.
He could also be a
I,
little
which
less
is shown on the
shouty,
stage.
and I also don't know how it's
If
playing
I can
in with
approach the
courtroom.
witness? Sure. Take a look at it and tell me if you recognize that tree. Does that,
Yes, sir.
okay. And what is that tree?
That's right on the corner where we were standing.
Does that fairly and accurately depict how the tree looked on the day in question?
Well, I know it was a tree there, whether it had been trimmed or not, I don't know, but yeah, I do remember the tree.
Okay. Judge, I'd move this into evidence at this time.
State any objection?
I would have an objection, yes.
Okay, sidebar, please.
This guy is, the state is supposed to either arrest today or whatever the next trial day is, which I think is Thursday. So the state is supposed to arrest in the next day and a half. And we have yet to see the tape. The tape, I guess we're leaving it for the last thing, I guess. Which, fair enough. If that's what we're doing, then that's a perfectly reasonable strategy. We start, it's primacy and recency. Primacy and recency. We prime them with the emotional
You do
stuff,
recall a
get out the
big
emotionally
tree
heavy
that was in front
stuff,
of you guys, correct?
Yes, sir.
and we end with the tape.
This is
It's a
not
perfectly
small
valid way of
little tree,
going.
This is an extremely large
And the
tree,
middle
correct?
is just miscellaneous.
And would the branches cover
Okey
a
doke.
significant portion of the 1200 building if you're standing where you and Scott were?
It covers some
You had
of
to
it.
Google pink noise? Oh yeah, noise comes in many different flavors. Yeah, white, pink, brown, all kinds of noise issues. Yeah.
When the prosecutor asked you how many total shots you heard, it was only a few, correct?
5 or so or more.
That's it. All right.
Yeah.
For those of you who
know
don't
that-
know,
that
white
approximately
noise
70
is
was fired. You know that, correct?
like static that you'd get
No,
on,
no, sir.
like if you tuned a radio to a station that doesn't
Do you
exist,
know
right?
why
White
it
noise
is
is
that
just
you heard
static.
only a few
White noise is
shots?
random. Pink noise
Those are the
adjusts
one when I got
the
down close to the building
randomness
that
for
I knew were
human
gunshots.
perception of
I did hear
hearing.
some popping
So
noise
white noise is
going down
random.
on a golf cart.
The pink
But
noise
that particular
sounds
time,
random.
I didn't know they were gunshots.
Because white
Give me a
noise,
moment.
the human ear is better at picking up certain frequencies than other frequencies. So pink noise adjusts white noise so that it sounds more random. If memory serves correctly, it does that by bringing out the
From
bass
the
tones more.
beginning of the time that you were with him.
So
to
that's the
time that
technical
you left
difference, and
him,
now you know.
Did you believe that he did everything he possibly could with what he knew to try to help everybody?
Objection, asked and answered, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's sustained.
I didn't focus on the end part. I had just discussed up to that point. So I'm just asking from the time, this is now at the
And
end.
the objection was sustained. Ask another question, go ahead.
Did there ever seem a time to you that my client really did know with certainty where the shots were coming from exclusively and then chose to act like he didn't?
Objection, speculation.
Yeah, that's sustained.
Nothing further.
Okay, based on that, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, sir.
And then like brown noise, like even spikes up the bass even more. So it's much more lower. So it's more similar to what you'd hear on an airplane. Because you get more of that low
Yes.
frequency
On
rumble,
cross-examination,
brown
early in the
noise.
cross-examination, defense counsel asked you if the defendant was doing everything he could. Do you recall that question?
Yes, I recall. Yes, sir.
And then there's
Ever
other
had
colors,
police
which I
training?
don't remember those as much.
No, sir.
And defense also.
I listen to
asked
rain
you
noise when I
about,
sleep. I've got a little blue speaker by my bed, and
sincere
I'm doing
belief
some rain noise.
that the
I
kids
like
were
it.
in harm's way. Do you recall that question being asked?
Yes, sir.
Why did you have a sincere belief that you needed to keep the kids away from the 1200?
Because the shots were coming from the 1200 building, and that's the direction the kids were running towards.
When, on cross-examination, you testified that you could see Mr. Peterson looking both straight as well to the west, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, straight ahead. Is that the east side doors?
Yes, the 1200 building. Yes, sir.
Is that where you saw the 5 kids run out of?
Yes, sir.
Now, the pipes that were shown, did that block your view from being able to see the 5 kids?
No, sir.
No?
No, sir.
Okay, I don't need to show it.
No, no, I remember it.
Did that maroon pillar block your view from being able to see the 5 kids?
No, sir.
Now, the time that you were standing in the same proximity, the same area as Mr. Peterson, did it appear to you that he was focused in the direction of the 1200 building?
It was facing that direction, yes, sir.
Now, going back to the 5 kids running out, did you hear Mr. Peterson shout out to them anything?
No, sir.
Ask where the shooter is?
No, sir.
Ask any questions of them?
No, sir.
Now, there was some question about a tree. Did that tree prevent you from knowing that the shots were coming from inside the 1200 building?
No, sir.
Now, you also testified on
Thank you
cross-examination.
very much, Rosie. I appreciate
You
that.
heard popping sounds.
We try to
in the
put out a
car?
very good and
Yes,
very
sir.
Can you
consistent
describe to the
quality
jury
product
what you
here
mean
on
by
Uncivil Law, particularly in the last couple months.
Firecracker
Not
sound
a
or
framework that works
gunshots.
for us
At that
with
particular
the,
time,
with the,
definitely
with
think it was
the
gunshots.
legal news
I
review.
hear popping sounds.
And then we do
Sound
trial
like fire.
coverage on days when we're doing trial coverage.
No, not driving.
So we
down.
do something,
Were they unusual
we stream
sounds?
every
Unusual
morning,
sound,
5
very
days a week.
unusual, yes.
And then we put out edited content from their live streams. We cut it up and edit it, or I do, because I do all the work, and put that out. And then we put out some shorts to help promote the channel. I try very hard. This is my full-time job, and I put in a reasonable amount of work to make it work.
Cross-examination about his client sweating and breathing.
So I appreciate that you enjoy it.
And something about a blank look. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
When you saw that look, what were you thinking about Mr.
Excuse me.
I didn't think he was going to, react. I don't know if he did. He didn't react because he didn't know what was going on, or, So no, I didn't expect him to react to the 1200 building.
When you say react to the 1200 building, do you mean you didn't think he was going to go into the 1200 building?
Yeah, even if he even knew that it was there, no, sir, I didn't think so.
Popcorn Power, Uncivil has stated that he is dubious on the legal applicability of this situation and finds it to be legally novel. And
On cross-examination, you were asked.
part of the reason I
you
followed this trial in the
told
first place is because I was
Mr.
interested in the
Peterson
legal aspect as
about
well
the
as the
shots
factual
fired
aspect.
coming
So I think
from
this is
the
both
1200.
factually and legally
You
interesting.
did not say anything to him.
No, sir.
Why not?
Well, initially, when I asked him, did he hear the call to 1200 building?
Uncivil law
he
is
said, let's check it
questioning
out. I assumed that,
whether or not this
he
prosecution
would
should
go
have
to
been brought.
1200.
Because
Did
he's
you
like,
also, was it apparent to you that they were
don't
coming
think this
from
is what
inside
the law had
1200
in
building?
mind, but I
Yes, sir.
have an open mind
And
and
how
I'm
far
willing
away was
to
he standing from you at that
listen to
point?
see more.
5 feet, maybe 5, 6 feet,
You
maybe.
want to make a question witness?
Sure.
Tell me when to stop. How close was Mr. Peterson to you? About this
About
close?
here, yeah.
Okay. It's almost arm's length.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, there was some testimony about Medina. Medina is not a police officer.
No, sir.
He's a
Just
civilian.
a kind reminder,
Yes,
everyone, that
I'm
you can hit that
Campus
beautiful, beautiful
monitor. His
join
job is to
button.
observe
And if
the
you don't see the
report.
beautiful,
Yes, sir.
beautiful
Was
join
his
button,
job based
Dream
upon
Elements gives you the
training
link
January as
to
well
click
as
on,
everything else.
as I'm just now
Observe
highlighting
and
for you,
report, and during a code
so that you
red,
can become a
he's
member of the
supposed to
channel for a mere 99
shelter
cents.
I-12,
It's literally the least
Yes.
YouTube will let me charge you, so that you can become a member and help to support the
wait for
channel,
the police?
because it makes a huge
Is that part of the
difference.
training?
I have a couple $100
Well,
of
he's supposed to lock
expenses
down, yes. He's supposed to
for
lock
this
himself
channel every
down,
month.
Locked down with the
Various
intention of
software
leaving.
packages
Yes,
I
sir.
use to make things as good
Till
as I
all clear is
possibly
like
can.
giving or so on.
Plus, I like eating. So
Yeah.
if you could help me with those things, those would
They
be
testified
appreciated.
under
Thank you
redirect-
very much.
I'm sorry, under cross, about Medina on the golf cart.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that there was communications or word shared between Peterson and Medina?
Could have been.
It could have been. You didn't hear
I
it.
didn't hear it, no, I didn't hear it.
My area of practice was patent
Now,
law.
going back to the office, when you
Intellectual
heard the
property law.
transmission,
I talk
When
about
Mr.
pretty much
Peterson's
everything
office
but
said
patent law
something,
on this
did you
channel
hear the
because I no
transmission?
longer
What was
find
his
it
response?
intellectually interesting.
Let's check it out.
It's one of the reasons I stopped
Let's
doing
check
it.
it
It
out.
stopped being
Let's check it
fulfilling
out.
for me
He
personally.
didn't ask me what
Because
he
I was no
talked about.
longer learning
No, sir.
things in my field. So my field was patent law. But I have a very healthy expertise in constitutional law, as recognized by my fellow peers on the law tubes. I think it is generally agreed
Based on that, you
that
cross.
my knowledge of
Go
the
ahead.
Constitution is the best on the law tubes. So I appreciate the recognition of my
In
peers. in
response
that.
to the prosecutor, I think I just heard you say Medina could have said something to Scot Peterson on the golf cart on your way to the 1200 building, correct?
It could have.
But you never heard it, correct? You never saw it, correct? And also, I think your testimony was you just assumed that my client knew where the shooter or shooters might have been, correct?
When I stated to him that about the sound out of the 1200, he just said, let's check it out. I did mention 1200, he said, let's check it out.
Correct, but then when you get on the scene and you hear shots,
Yeah.
okay, you just assumed what was in his head, correct?
I didn't really assume anything. I mean, I knew where they were coming from. So.
Right, but at no point does he ever indicate to you that he knows, correct?
Right.
In fact, your opinion was just the opposite based upon how he was trying to figure it out, correct?
Objection, counsel's testimony.
No, that's overruled. That was gone into on redirect. Go ahead, sir. You can answer that question. Go ahead.
Okay. Repeat that question.
You assumed just the opposite, meaning you believed he was trying to figure it all out, correct?
I assumed he knew it was 1200 building. When I stated to him the 1200 building, he said, let's check it out.
Right.
But I don't know for certain that he heard that.
And then when you see him on the scene and you see the way he's acting, it looked to you like he was trying to figure it all out, correct?
Yes, he was on his radio. Yes, sir. He was on the radio.
And he wasn't transfixed on the 1200 building. He's looking all around, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you were sent to the office to look for the video to convey to Peterson on the scene, at no point did you then say to my client, hey, it's in the 1200 building, right? You don't say that, do you?
I didn't say anything on the radio to him. Mr. Morford was talking to him on the radio.
Okay.
So I didn't say anything to him.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
You stated the witness excused.
He is, yes, Your Honor.
Sir, you may step down. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
While he's doing that state, you may call your next witness.
Your Honor, this time to state before Mr. Elliot Bonner.
We try to do all the Supreme Court cases here. Try to cover all the Supreme Court cases. And cover a lot of court appeals cases. We do true crime stuff. We do trials. Try to do it all, baby. Try to do it all. We put out a lot of content on this channel. We may be putting out the most content of anyone in LawTube at this point, just because we're generating so much content. But, you know, I enjoy my job. You think I should do a makeup line for product? That'd be hilarious. The uncivil law makeup line. Okay. Who you? Okay.
Sir, if I could have you come all the way up here to the witness stand, please. Once you reach it.
He's very
before you have a
casual.
seat, you can just stop and look at me. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please be seated.
All right. Who are you and why are you here?
And sir, once you're seated, if I can get you to scoot that chair all the way forward as far as it will go. Can you please state your full name and spell your full name?
My name is Elliot Thomas Bonner. It's E-L-L-I-O-T. Thomas and Bonner, B-O-N-N-E-R.
Mr. Keller, you may inquire.
Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Bonner, what do you currently do for a living?
I'm retired.
And what did you do before you were retired?
I worked 30 years at IBM.
What did you do for IBM?
I was a programmer.
What did you program?
I worked on missiles,
Like military missiles?
military missiles.
Previous to IBM, what did you do? Were you a Marine?
Yeah, I was a Marine.
All right, tell me about when you were a Marine.
Yeah, I was a Marine for 4 years. And
What years?
served 64 to 68.
Vietnam?
Vietnam,
What unit were you in?
65 to 67.
Yeah, you were in Vietnam 65 to 67?
Yes.
And what was your job? What was your MOS over there?
I was an 0311, but I was trained in demolitions.
Okay. Did you see, silly question, I know, but did you see active combat over there?
Yes.
Okay. Were you issued a rifle?
Yes.
What kind was it?
M14.
Is that a loud rifle?
Very.
Ballpark this, because I don't even know I can't even imagine the number. How many times between utilizing it, between 65 and 67, as well as basic training, do you think you shot that rifle? Or rifles in an M14?
I don't even know how many times. Numerous times.
Numerous, thousands?
Thousands.
Now, was there a point in time in your career that you worked at Marjory Stoneman Douglas?
Yes.
And what was your job at MSD?
I was a campus monitor.
Okay. And as a campus monitor, what was your job?
My job was to make sure the campus was safe as far as kids going to class and stuff like that, but that's about it.
Were you armed?
No.
And sir, how old are you today?
I'm 78.
78. Now, I'm going to go...
I'm 77.
77.
Sorry.
No, it's not a problem at all. I'm going to go back to February 14th of 2018, approximately 2:15 in the afternoon. What were you doing around that time?
I was, about 2:15, I was in the athletic director's office.
I'm going to show you a map of the school around here. This can be shown. I'm showing you what's already in Evans Estates 1. You familiar with that campus?
Yes.
Okay. Where, and you can actually mark on the screen, Your Honor, if I could ask you what the amateur on.
You want me to mark approximately where I was?
Yeah, just let me.
It's hard for me to tell you.
Just ballpark where you were.
What's an
Yeah, I was around
M14?
Okay. And what were you doing over
It's
I was actually doing something in the athletic
see,
director's
M14 is a 308 caliber rifle,
there?
right?
And
Yes.
What
Let's see.
caught your
Yeah, the
attention?
M14 was the
fire
rifle
alarm.
that was principally used
did
in
you have a
Vietnam
specific
and Korea.
area or specific
it's a
responsibility?
308
on
caliber
firearm?
rifle.
Yes.
What was that responsibility?
My responsibility was to get the people out of the 700 building.
Can you
And,
mark with an X the 700 building?
700 buildings up over here.
Okay. So you hear the fire alarm. What did you do?
I left the athletic director's office and got in my golf cart and rode up the sidewalk towards the 700 building.
Did you have a school radio?
Yes.
Not Korea?
Can you just track, and I'm going to change it.
Were they still using the M1 Garand in Korea
path that
instead of the
you took towards
M14?
1200 building?
I basically went up this way and down this way, and I stopped about there.
You stopped it right there, okay. Why did you stop about there?
So they're still using the
Because I
M1
seen
in
Coach Feist laying
M14?
on the ground.
Now,
Okay.
previous to seeing
Noted.
Coach Price on the ground, did you hear anything?
Yes,
What did you hear?
I heard those gunshots.
The M1 also kicks ass.
Could you tell where those gunshots were coming from?
I knew they were coming from the building,
Which building?
the 1200 building,
How could you tell they were coming from the 1200 building?
because I know what gunshots sound like.
Once you get to that area where you stopped, you drew the line, what did you do after that?
I stopped and I said on the radio that those weren't firecrackers, those are gunshots
That's over the school radio.
over the school radio.
Okay.
And then I said code red.
When you said code red, had you previously heard anyone else over the school radio call a code red?
No.
You were the first.
Well, they used the
As far as I know.
1911 in
As far as
everything
you know, okay.
until they came up with the M9 for the Beretta. The 1911 was the official military pistol from 1911 till
Now, I asked you if
what,
you were
like,
on that day, but was Coach
80
Price on that
something?
day?
and also
We
the
don't know.
1911 is still used,
No.
I believe, by
Was,
some military
Brian
forces in the
Staubling?
U.S.
No.
Kelvin Greenleaf,
No.
David Taylor,
No.
Ana Ramos,
No.
Medina,
No.
Going back to the map, when you stopped at that specific point there, how far would you estimate you were from the building, from the 1200?
30, 40 feet.
What did you do when you heard those shots and you were in the car?
Yeah, then the
I said
M4
code
is a
red,
carbine version of the
I left.
M16, yeah.
How did you leave?
I just backed up.
Did you put the car
This
in
walk
reverse?
through various
Yes.
military
Did you turn it
rifles has
around,
been
or
brought
you
to you
just-
by
I just went
Uncivil Law.
reverse.
Okay. While you were in reverse, heading backwards, did you run into anybody?
Yes.
Who?
Officer Heinrich.
Did you know Officer Heinrich before that day?
Yes.
Did you know that he was a Coral Springs or that he was a police officer?
Yes.
Okay. What did you tell him?
I said, Coach Weiss is laying by the door.
Do you recall saying anything else to him?
I don't recall saying anything else.
You know Scot Peterson, right?
Who?
Scot Peterson.
Yes.
How long had you known him for?
For as long as I've been at the school. For
That
as long
day,
as he's been at the school.
that day, over the radio, did you ever hear him announce a code red?
No.
Now, after you reversed the car, what did you ultimately end up doing after that?
I ended up going into West Glades.
I'm going to erase this.
Going into West Lakes?
West Glades.
West Glades.
Where is West Glades? Let me zoom out a little bit. Where's West Glades?
This is West Glades over here.
Did you get there in your car?
Yes.
Okay. And why did you go over to West Glades? What were you doing?
I was getting as far away from those gunshots.
Okay. Were there kids around you? Students?
Yes.
What were you doing with the students?
The students pretty much followed me.
Is there a gate that connects MSD to West Glades?
Yes.
Can you just mark approximately where the gate is?
Approximately right there somewhere.
Okay. So did you head west and then south to that gate?
Yeah, I went, you want me to write it?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so I went down here, and I went down here, and I went through the gate with my golf cart.
Okay. And where did you go once you were on that side?
I went down this way.
Why did you go down that way?
Distance,
When you went down that way, so the southern point of the blue marker did you run into other students and other teachers?
oh, yes,
How many would you estimate?
approximately 300.
Your Honor, I'm going to show states F5.
That's an interesting question in chat. M4 versus AK-47 in terms of accuracy at range. I don't know which outperforms which on that one. That's a good question. The AK-47 is not particularly known for great accuracy at range. I wonder if it outperforms the M4.
Was it there, Antlers? Do you recognize this?
Yeah,
Who's that on the golf cart?
that's me.
This camera angle, which way are we looking?
Which way was I?
Yeah,
Which
AK
way
is known
is
for its
the
reliability.
camera
Yeah,
facing?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It will
I
shoot
really-
in every
to be
possible
honest, I don't know.
condition,
If you
muddy,
look at the
dirty,
bottom left-hand
dusty,
of the
whatever,
screen, can you see
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does it
Known
say?
for its
You see it,
durability.
building
Yeah,
13,
exactly.
West.
Building 13 west to field.
Okay. So you can keep playing there.
Yeah, M4 is better than
When you
AK,
turn
I
there,
would
are you-
imagine.
Are
So
you
yeah.
heading towards the 1200 building?
Yes, I'm headed east.
You're heading east. You can pause it there for a second. Do you see what time it says at the top? Does it say 2:24:49?
Yes.
Okay. While you're off screen, is that when you utilize the school radio, or is it while you're driving backwards?
I utilized the school radio while I was stopped there.
And do you see the screen time there, 2:24:59?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is when you're heading backwards,
Right.
correct? Heading west?
While you're heading backwards, do you continue to hear shots being fired?
I don't recall.
Then I know some people who will like to try to make the AK accurate
You
at
see the individual in the
range
white shirt?
and invest in the AK to make it accurate at
Yeah.
range.
Is that Jeff Heinrich?
Okay.
Yes.
I want an AK that's accurate at 1,000 yards. Okay, we can do that.
Now, the brief interaction with him.
Seems like there's easier ways to go about what
stop
you're
and
trying to
have a
accomplish than
conversation, or
that,
was it
but you know,
just-
okay.
As I pass.
Drove past, it was in passing.
As I pass.
Officer Heinrich, was he the individual in plain clothes that was watering the baseball field that day?
Yeah, he was in plain clothes. I don't know what he was doing,
Okay.
but he was on the baseball field.
He was on the baseball field.
Right.
Just one moment, John. I have nothing further for Mr. Bonner.
Okay, cross-examination, go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Bonner.
Good morning.
Sir, you and I met back on June 30th, 2022 in a video deposition. Do you remember me asking you questions?
Yes, I remember you asking me
Did
questions.
you have a chance to read over your deposition, your sworn testimony before you testified today?
No,
You did not?
no. So when you say before, I'm taking recently.
Yeah, recently. The state did not give you your sworn testimony?
Oh, they did. But
Okay.
I didn't read over it.
Okay. And I'm assuming that, like most of us, your memory doesn't get better with age like wine, correct?
I can't remember what I ate yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, all right. So let's talk about this. You do remember that you were a campus monitor with Stoneman Douglas for 25 years, correct?
Approximately.
And you, thank you for your service. You served as a Vietnam vet, so you know the sound of gunfire, correct?
Yes.
And you worked with Scott. Can you describe for the jurors professionally how he was to work with?
Well, we worked with Scott as far as getting students and whatever he needed. He was the SRO.
Was he professional?
Yes.
Was he
That's also a good
dependable?
question on
Very
like,
Would he jump right in
MOA
if
for
anybody
a
needed him
rifle.
for something?
Yes.
say like
You
500
wouldn't call
yards for
Scott a
various
coward,
arrow
would you?
lengths. I don't know
No.
that information off
You
the
saw
top of
just
my
the
head.
opposite, didn't you?
Just the opposite of coward.
Yes.
I wouldn't call him a coward.
You were called the fire alarm was going off as you were approaching the building, correct?
Yes.
The fire alarm you would characterize as extremely loud, correct?
If you're in the building.
Okay. Now, when you're on the golf course, you pulled up and you see Coach Aaron Feist on the ground, correct?
Yes.
And
What's
you
the
say
MOA
traveled
for
30 to
M4
40
versus
feet
an
from the
M16?
1200 building, correct?
Yes.
But this is on the
Google
west
it. Hold
side
on.
of the
Yes.
1200 building,
Yes.
correct? And you believe the shots that you heard, by the way, were of Coach Feist being shot, correct?
No, I don't know. I just heard the gunshot.
Okay. Let me show you this. Is this showing you what is in evidence as defense exhibit number 1? Is this the west side that you approached?
4 apparently.
Okay. And Coach Aaron Feist was on the ground right outside the door?
Right outside
over here?
those doors, right?
And
Yeah.
about the same for the M16? We're into one website.
Now, when you heard the shots, isn't it a fact you couldn't nail it down to the 1200 building, but the area around the 1200 building? Isn't that correct, sir?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And one of the reasons why, when you went on your radio to announce those aren't firecrackers, those are gunshots, you didn't give a specific location of where the shots were coming from is because you didn't have one, correct?
Yes.
You believe that the shooter or shooters could have been outside of the 1200 building, correct?
Yes, could have been.
Could have been on top of the 1200 building, correct?
That's definitely could have been.
Could have been potential sniper fire, correct?
Sniper fire?
Yeah, somebody shooting out of a window or from some location.
I guess so.
And with all those buildings, had you had any experience prior to the shooting with there being any kind of echo in that area?
Yes.
Tell the jurors about that, please.
Well, there's quite a few buildings, and it's really hard to tell when there's a noise. You can tell it's over there, but you can't tell where it is.
I'm over here like sub 1 MOA or
So you can
bust.
get a
Because all our buildings are close
know.
together.
Got it.
Where's my half?
You might
Where's
get
my
a
half
general
MOA?
idea, but not specifically where, correct?
Yes.
Had you had an experience or experiences prior to the shooting of hearing loud noises and knowing generally where they're coming from, but not specifically?
Yes.
Tell the jurors about that, please.
Well, because we deal with a high school, people want to have firecrackers sometimes, and they're kids. They do things. And that's it. You know, you kind of know it's over there, but you don't know where it is over there.
What about an air horn? Have you ever heard an air horn?
That you hear more than anything.
Tell the jurors about that.
Air horns, you don't know where it is. It's just, you know, it's on campus.
And so you don't know whether to go right or left.
Because the air horn.
I don't want MOA
itself.
on my rifle. I want SOA, baby. 30 seconds, baby, or less.
You never
Where
saw any
delivery's free.
riddled windows, correct?
What? Okay.
Did there come a time when you were there in real time on the west side that you actually saw bullet holes in the window?
Yes,
You did, all right. That would have been on the west side, correct?
on the west side.
From where my client was, there's no way he could have seen those, correct?
I don't know where your client was.
Okay. Assuming you're on the east side by the 700-800 building, there's no way to see those holes from the windows of the west side of the 1200 building, correct?
Yes, I would go with that.
Okay. Nor did you see any muzzle flashes at all, correct? No trails of blood that could lead you to a conclusion of where the shooter or shooters were located, correct? No smells, correct?
No,
And you never attempted to reach out to my client in real time during the shooting at any time, correct?
no.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Wish you the best.
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Very briefly. Mr. Bonner, on cross-examination, you spoke about the fire alarms. Can you tell me about the fire alarms? Are they louder inside the buildings or outside?
Yes,
They're louder inside?
they're louder inside.
Are they significantly louder inside?
Well, yes, because they're geared for us that are inside, the students.
Outside in the hallways, are there, I don't even know what you would call them, are there actually like horns for the fire alarm? Or how does it work on the outside, if you recall?
I believe so. I really can't answer that.
Now, during a fire alarm, let's just even say a regular fire drill, are you able to have a conversation like you and I are having outside in the hallways?
I don't understand what you mean.
Outside, the volume of my voice right now, would that be loud enough for you to hear in the
Yes.
hallways during a fire
Yeah.
alarm? Would the volume of my voice be loud enough inside a classroom during a fire alarm for you to hear me?
Probably.
Probably, okay. On cross-examination, you were asked about the location of the shots. Did you think that the shots were coming from
any other area other than the 1200 building?
At the time, I just thought it was a 1200 building.
At the time you thought it was the 1200?
Right.
I have nothing further.
Based on that, any recross?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
In your mind, there is a difference between the 1200 building and the area around the 1200 building, correct?
Absolutely.
Didn't you tell me on cross-examination that you narrowed it down to the area around the 1200 building, correct?
No, I didn't really say that, but I said it was around the 1200 building. But
Okay.
to me, it was in the 1200 building because I wasn't really assessing the area. I was right there where Feist was, so to me, it was in the 1200 building.
Okay. Do you remember giving a
You wanna
deposition
impeach him
back
on this,
on
really?
June 30th, 2022?
I remember doing it.
Okay. And do you remember me asking you the following question on page 10, line 11? Well, could you...
Yeah, that's his thing.
Do you remember giving a statement that is different than what you testified today?
I don't recall.
Okay. Well, if you had your deposition, would that help refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Okay, great. And approach the witness.
You may.
What are you referencing, Counsel?
Page 10, we'll start page 10, lines 11, and we'll go to some other pages if necessary.
So the purpose of the exercise is to see if the document refreshes your memory. Take your time, just read it to yourself. Once you're done reading it to yourself, if you look up, I'm sure the lawyers will have some more questions for you, okay? But what I don't want you to do is read out loud from the document. Just read it to yourself, okay? Thank you.
You'd impeach him on this? I guess. I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze. I guess we'll find out.
Mr. Agash, you may ask your next question.
You want me to read everything that's in yellow? then?
No, sir.
Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection as to whether you thought the shots were around the 1200 building versus inside the 1200 building?
Yes. And I said I don't know.
Okay. Nothing further.
State, is the witness excused?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
All right, sir, you may step down. Thank you very much. While he's doing that, State, you have another witness that
Yeah,
we can
I
start
don't know if
before
it's
the-
worth it or not, but okay.
Sure.
Judge, our next witness is Bell Black.
Okay, you want to do the lunch break now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to send you to lunch. Same admonition as always. Please don't discuss the facts of the case, the evidence, the witnesses, or the testimony.
Again, not much here.
amongst
I
yourselves or
mean, there's
anyone
not a
else to
lot
the
in it,
standard of
to
case.
my mind.
Please leave the notepads in your chairs. I have to have a
Everyone
discussion
who,
just with one.
everyone who's
So the
testified,
rest of you can
maybe it's
step in
just
the
me,
back,
but
juror
everyone who's
number six, juror
testified,
number 6. If I can just have you stay in your seat momentarily. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to send you to lunch. Juror number 6 is about to join you. I hope you all have a good lunch. I'm going to see you back at the jury room. Let's call it 1:30 p.m. 1:30 p.m.
I need to reschedule the thing for 1:30 because I didn't know what time to put it in. I had to put a placeholder. Yeah, so to my mind, there's not much here so far. I'm still waiting for the big thing because everything they talk about, the seems to be behaving in a reasonable way, taking reasonable actions. The people who are testifying as to things the defendant did, they were either doing the same things as him, or the defendant appeared to be taking actions that could readily be described as reasonable in context. So I don't quite know exactly what they were trying to accomplish here because it just doesn't really make
Taking guarantee
sense.
about the PTO time, because I think today's your 10th day. There are other ways that they can make sure you don't have to use any of your PTO time. I guess the procedures contained in the email. So I wanted to give you the information, and I told them this was what I was going to do. I'm giving you the info, and if you want to call them over the lunch break, I'll have you with us for the rest of the day today. But at the end of the day today, again, probably outside the presence of everyone else, I'm going to proceed as you elect, all right? If you want me to excuse you for cause at this point, again, I don't want you to suffer any economic harm, and I don't want you to lose any of that PTO time. If you want me to excuse you for cause, I probably will be inclined to do that. I'll have to listen to what the lawyers tell me about it. If you want to stay with us, and I know you're greatly invested and you've been here a long time, then you're going to get to stay with us. So I'm going to leave it up to you, okay? But I want you to have all the information, make the appropriate calls, have a nice lunch. I'll see you at the jury room at 1:30, okay? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, all right. So we held the one juror back because this has been a little side issue that's been going on in this trial. So this juror's employer said, we're only going to
Okay,
give
we're
you
outside the
10
presence of the
days.
entire jury. State, anything else you need me to address before we recess for the lunch break? Defense, anything you need me to address before we recess for the lunch break?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so we'll be recessed till 1:30.
So this
Okay, I'll have
this
that.
this juror's employer said we'll only give you 10 days. And then after that, you have to take your personal time. You have to take personal time off, your vacation time, to be on the jury, right? So this judge apparently has been yelling at the manager and yelling at legal counsel for the company about this. And apparently they came up with some solution that doesn't require them taking personal time off, which I imagine is in the form of them having to like flex time or something. It's like, okay, well, you don't have to take the time off, but you have to make up the time some other time or something like that. So they won't give them the time. They won't give them the time. It's like, oh, 10 days is all we're going to give you. So this judge is like, okay, well, we'll elect as you want to elect. So it's up to you what you want to do. Is it legal? Apparently, right? Yeah, I don't know the laws in the state, but I'm guessing there's not a law that says explicitly, or the judge would just be able to cite chapter and verse. So I guess they don't have to give you time off for it. Or I suppose they can't fire you. But can they force you to burn your vacation time? Apparently. So the judge is like, okay, well, so the judge just said what you heard him say, right? The judge just said, well, they've come up with some other solution that doesn't require you to take your personal time off, which I'm imagining is we'll count the days against you. But you can earn them back or something by working on weekends or something. So if he doesn't typically work a weekend, like you can earn them back, you can make it up by working Saturdays or something and make the time up. I'm imagining is what the solution was. And so it's like, well, it's up to you what you want to do. I'll dismiss you for cause if you want to be dismissed for cause. So that's where we're at in this stupid thing. Because apparently there is no law that requires the employer there's no law that requires the employer to pay you. That much I know about. Some employers will continue to pay you, some won't. But it's like, we might not be able to fire you, but we can make you burn your personal time, make you burn your vacation time for this. Wow, that's an interesting thing for sure. So that's apparently where we're sitting on this bullshit. Let me create where was I? Okay, I was in my own Twitter trying to create a Twitters for this afternoon so that I'll give you something to have for this afternoon. So let me go ahead and write a tweet. Where's my right tweet button? Okay, there we go. This is going to be PM, not AM. I need the link to this afternoon stream, which is, where's my link? Here it is. No, that's the wrong one. I need the one for this afternoon. Copy this, go back to Twitter, paste it in the space. No. Damn it. No, damn it. Deep breath. Deep breath. Okay. Copy, paste. Over here. Copy. Move back. Here. Paste. Space. Tweet. God damn it. AM, not PM. PM. Okay, update. Great. All right. So that is the tweet. Take that tweet. All right, great. Now I need to go to the live stream for this afternoon, which is over here somewhere. Great. Please retweet with a link that I can pin in the thing. Do that, pin that. Great. All right. So I have the stream set up for this afternoon. It is set up for, I need to set it for 12:30, not 12:45. Okay, 12. I'll set it to 12:25. Okay, save that. Great. All right, so this will automatically redirect you over there. Please repin the new pinned comment when you get over there as well to help bring attention to the channel and all the rest of it. I'm going to break for lunch. I've been on Civil Law. I hope all is going well. I will see you this afternoon. Till later, my friends. Cheers and goodbye.